for the 7th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats as they're in Oxford to take on 14th-ranked Ole Miss. Head coach Lane Kiffin's Rebels come in with the nation's third-best rushing offense, but the Cats will have the services back of one running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. So did the fresh legs from his recent suspension help. What say you, offensive coordinator Rich Scangarello?
Yes, without doubt. I mean, you'd hope to like to see that he's, because he's stayed active, but, he hasn't been taken to the ground in a month either. But I'm not worried about that. He's been very reliable and durable, and he's in great shape.
It's a big day of horse racing today under the historic Twin Spires at Churchill Downs. That includes the 30th running of the Grade 3 $300,000 Breeders' Cup win in Urin ACAC, featuring Bill Mott-trained Speaker's Corner with Junior Alvarado on board. Also today, it's the return of Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike, who is running in the Grade 2 $500,000 Lucas Stakes, along with Hot Rod Charlie and Art Collector at 1 mile and an 1/8. Rich Strike is just the 6th horse in 25 years to run at Churchill Downs after the Run for the Roses. I'm Scott Fitzgerald.
This is the Kentucky News Network.
Your annual homecoming tailgate party was a rousing success. You caught up with your weird cousin Phil. You and your buddy Dave were crowned cornhole champions. Your famous potato salad drew rave reviews. The home team even won. But the best part was what didn't happen. You didn't drive home buzzed. You got a ride home from your cousin Phil, who may be weird, but also definitely sober. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
I grow corn and beans, and I raise cattle. What I do is good for people, good for Kentucky. And what I don't do is good for the environment. I don't let fertilizer, chemicals, manure, or good farmland run off into the creek. And you know what? Turns out that also makes me more productive and more efficient. If you're a farmer, develop an ag water quality plan. It's never been easier. Go to eec.ky.gov/agwater to find out how.
All day and all night, we're serving up classic country on AM 1420 and 99.5 FM.
We offer 6-month layaway with no fees. We do all our jewelry repairs in-house. So stop in today for a free jewelry cleaning and diamond inspection on the corner of Houstonville Road and Highway 150 in the Danville Manor Shopping Center. Online at bnljewelers.com. Find us on Facebook.
Love gets better with BNL Jewelers.
Historic Main Street comes alive September 30th through October 2nd with Kentucky's largest Oktoberfest. It's bigger than ever with double the stages at this year's Oktoberfest in Harrodsburg, where you can catch 3 days of live concerts with everything from 80s hits, reggae, rock to soul, funk, and bluegrass. Indulge in over 20 beers on tap, local food, crafts, and Kinderland, a free family-friendly inflatable park. Admission is free. Visit OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com for full details. That's OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com.
Your pet is a special member of your family. Wouldn't you like them to be treated with the newest, safest handling? Then call the new owners of the Harrisburg Animal Hospital, where the highly educated Dr. Thomas and Dr. Alex practice the best techniques on small and large pets, plus exotics too. The Harrisburg Animal Hospital offers full-service grooming, boarding, and daycare. The Harrisburg Animal Hospital, located on Beaumont Avenue across from Mulch to Go. Call to set an appointment. 734-5171. That's 734-5171.
Happy tastes good at your Harrisburg DQ. From breakfast to lunch to dinner, all day, anytime is a good time to eat at DQ. Right now, check out their chili burgers. Single, double, triples, all served on a toasted bun with chili sauce, onions, and cheese. Salads are available at DQ with chicken. Choose either crispy, rotisserie, or grilled, or just get a chef salad. Free DQ cupcake on your birthday and wedding anniversary. DQ in Harrodsburg on North College Street. Happy tastes good.
This Saturday, Coach Stoops and the Cats head south to Oxford for an early day SEC battle. Ole Miss Rebels and your Kentucky Wildcats. Touchdown, Kentucky!
The pregame show starts this Saturday morning at 10 with kickoff at noon.
It's all right here on your home for the Cats, and the hits is WRNZ FM C105.
We're halfway through the football season. It's the Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, live from the Harrodsburg Pizza Hut Monday nights from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR and WHBN. We talk live with all the area high school football coaches of Danville, Boyle County, Lincoln County, Garrett County, and Mercer County, as well as reports from Center College head coach Andy Fry and UK head football coach. The Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, Mondays from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR, WHBN, and HometownLive.net.
This is the Kentucky News Network.
Enjoy the country classics on WHBN, on AM 1420, and now on FM 99.5. Online at hometownlive.net.
And good morning to you. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Hopefully you're getting your first, maybe your second, or even your third cup of coffee. We got a lot of things coming your way. 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have your national news and your local news, and then we'll roll right into Gardening with James. James always has an informative and interesting program lined up for you, and I'm sure today is no exception. Then we will have What's Happening Goldie, and then the 9 o'clock hour, we'll roll right into, after the news, we'll have Dan Yates and Breakfast with the Mercer County coaches and players, live from the old bus station restaurant. They'll be discussing last night's amazing win. They won, and they won big. But I don't want to ruin the program for you, so Dan will fill you in on all that. Call coming your way right here on WHBN Harrodsburg, the Rooster.
This is WHBN Harrodsburg, the Rooster, broadcasting on AM 1420 and now FM 99.5. Now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Scott Carr. The storm that was Hurricane Ian is now a post-tropical cyclone after pummeling South Carolina with high winds and storm surge. Ian made landfall near the city of Georgetown early Friday afternoon as a Category 1 hurricane. The National Hurricane Center warns that dangerous storm surge, flash flooding, and the threat of high winds are still in place. South Carolina now in cleanup mode. Jim Forbes has more on reaction from lawmakers.
Ian reformed into a hurricane over the Atlantic Ocean after leaving a devastating path in Florida. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina shared a message with the people of his state.
This could be a couple of days before we really realize how much damage can be done here. The flooding is terrible, a lot of property damage. Get off the roads, power lines down, you can get electrocuted. Let's kind of ride this thing out.
While the death toll in Florida is now up to at least 33 and thousands remain unaccounted for. Ian's destruction covered a broad swath of that state with flooding on both coasts. Homes were torn from their foundations, beachfront businesses demolished, and more than 1 million Floridians are still without power. Heavy rains forecast through much of the weekend as remnants of Ian impact North Carolina and Virginia. The National Weather Service says people across the Hampton Roads region can expect 3 to 4 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. Congress avoided a partial government shutdown after the House passed a stopgap funding bill. Government funding for federal agencies was set to expire at midnight last night, but President Biden signed off on the legislation after House lawmakers passed it Friday. The stopgap bill will keep the government running through December 16th. A shooting at a high school homecoming football game in Oklahoma has left one teenager dead, another injured. Police in Tulsa say a suspect is still at large after that Friday night shooting at McLean High School. Tulsa police say the shooting happened in front of a large crowd near the homecoming game. A 17-year-old boy was pronounced dead at the scene. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
I grow corn and beans, and I raise cattle. What I do is good for people, good for Kentucky. And what I don't do is good for the environment. I don't let fertilizer, chemicals, manure, or good farmland run off into the creek. And you know what? Turns out that also makes me more productive and more efficient. If you're a farmer, develop an ag water quality plan. It's never been easier. Go to eec.ky.gov/agwater to find out how.
You may have been born to be wild, but you weren't born to be dead from a needless motorcycle crash. So when you're even just a little impaired, you do not get your motor running. You do not head out on the highway. What you do is get a ride from a sober friend, a taxi or rideshare service, or public transportation. Because you may be looking for adventure, but you're not looking for trouble. Please ride sober. Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
President Biden is calling Russia's annexation of eastern Ukraine a sham. At the White House Friday, the president called it a sign that Russian President Vladimir Putin is struggling in his ongoing war against Ukraine. President Biden said the U.S. and its allies will not be intimidated by Putin's rhetoric and insisted the U.S. and the world will never recognize the Russian annexations in Ukraine. As police in New York City continue their investigation into the Russian consulate in the city being vandalized, Lisa G's in New York Network.
Cops say the building on East 91st Street was defaced with spray paint around 1 a.m. There were no words or symbols spray painted on the building, but officials are treating it as a possible bias incident. It happened hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin signed treaties that paved the way to annex occupied areas of Ukraine.
Fighter jets are zooming all over parts of Southern California this weekend. The Pacific Air Shows runs through Sunday in Huntington Beach, featuring the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, as well as other modern aircraft and several vintage planes. A high-profile trial for one of the rioters at last year's Capitol riot is set to begin Monday. Jury selections completed in the trial of Stuart Rhodes, charged with seditious conspiracy for his role in the attack. Rhodes is one of the leaders of the Oath Keepers militia group, whom authorities say helped plan the riot and called for civil war. He's one of 5 defendants in the trial. Ahead of Thanksgiving, the price of turkeys continues to go up. The American Farm Bureau Federation blames both inflation and a nasty strain of bird flu, because of which they say families can expect to pay record high prices at the grocery store for turkey this year. Analysis of turkey costs finds the retail price of fresh boneless, skinless turkey breast is about $6.70 a pound. That's a 112% increase from last year. Despite that, farmers and retailers are still confident there will be enough turkeys to meet holiday demand. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
This is a Hometown Radio Network information update. The Boyle County Fiscal Court has rejoined in a partnership with the organization that was once known as the Economic Development Partnership. The Boyle County Fiscal Court withdrew from the Economic Development Partnership earlier this year after magistrates became concerned with the organization's progress. However, the EDP restructured to the EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation, and made structural changes, like shrinking its board from nearly 20 members down to 9. The court discussed and ultimately voted to join in on the EDC and its partnership, with Magistrate Jason Cullen serving as the Boyle County Fiscal Court representative on that board. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has announced a new website to help people who are suffering from drug addiction and substance abuse find housing. The partnership is between the Recovery Housing Network and the Kentucky Injury Prevention and Research Center. That website is findrecoveryhousingnowky.org. I'm Joe Mathis.
I'm tired of working on my old, worn-out farm equipment.
Hey, have you been over to County Equipment yet?
No, where's that at?
They're the guys over at Exit 48 off the Bluegrass Parkway.
Well, I can't afford to buy new equipment.
They got the biggest selection of used equipment I've seen anywhere.
Stop by County Equipment and check out their large selection of no-till seed drill, hay equipment, manure spreaders, and 3-point attachment. Give them a call at 502-839-7373. CountyEquipment.com.
At Suttles Tree Care, we salute the beauty of the great outdoors. And for those times when the great outdoors isn't so beautiful, you don't have to worry. At Suttles Tree Care, we do it all. We help protect your trees from damage in high winds and storms, even tree and stump removal, land clearing, brush trimming. Let Suttles Tree Care take a look at your property. If there's a tree that could be a problem, we'll let you know and take care of it before the problem happens. At Suttles Tree Care, you get the best for less. Affordable, expert tree and brush trimming, cabling to reduce stress damage on your tree from high winds, weight from ice and snow, and heavy foliage. We aren't some gypsies from out of town. We're a licensed, insured, locally owned business, a family that's been taking care of your land for over 30 years. The great outdoors. It's beautiful. At Suttles Tree Care, we can help you keep it that way. Visit SuttlesTreeCare.com and let's take care of your trees and property before there's a problem. Suttles Tree Care. Get the best for less.
My name is Chase Harrington and I'm from Nicholsville, Kentucky. I've been singing for about 7 years. When I got into performance, I came to Studio G. I've been learning how to look good on stage, how to bring out my voice more in the songs that I sing, how to get confidence. I hear an immense difference in my voice compared to when I started coming here.
Studio G is the performing arts place. To learn more, call 859-734-4394. Studio G. The G stands for growth.
This WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Ransdell Funeral Chapel. Our goal is, and always will be, to provide the best value in funeral service available. Exceptional care from a trusted family name, Ransdell Funeral Chapel.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62.
30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70.
Welcome to Gardening with James. Learn how to start your own garden, grow your own food, and live a healthier lifestyle. Food can be a medicine for the body, or it can cause high blood pressure or other health issues by not eating right. This show is packed full of tips and information, as well as special guest interviews from around the country, and is designed to make gardening simple, fun, and frugal for the whole family. Call James with your questions and problems now at 734-4321. Now, let's go in the garden with your host, James Ross.
All right, here we go on another great Saturday morning. It's a little nippy out there this morning, so you may want to put you a jacket on over top of your long sleeve shirt or whatever it might be, because it's just a little bit nippy. Let's see here. Well. All right, try again. So yes. All right, let's see if we can get this call here. Gardening with James.
Good morning, James. This is Kurt with the Mercer County Farmers Market.
Good morning.
I'm sorry I hung up because I was trying to let you get your opening speech in. I failed to make it down there to be part of your studio audience. I apologize.
Not a problem. It's all good. What's going on with you today?
Well, we're setting up the sign, flags, and getting set up in the market, waiting on a few other vendors to show up. I just want to, as usual, encourage people to get out and support their local farmers market as long as they're still open.
Yep.
The 22nd is our last Saturday.
When?
They can check our Facebook page to see what's, we're having. There'll be a lot of stuff here today.
Okay.
And I don't know, you did address briefly the cooler weather. Seeing different coldness mornings over the next week, and I'll just give a quick clue on how I'm going to save some of my garden vegetables for what I call our kitchen garden. I'm going to take some cardboard and put that over the plants, and then I'll cover that with some row cover and plastic. So we'll get about 3 layers of insulation.
Okay.
And hopefully the cold weather won't settle in on the plants. I have already had some ice on our windshield in the morning. So
wow, yeah, it's been cool here for the last probably week or so. Early mornings, and it struggles to get to about 70.
Yep, it's nice weather, but it's a challenge at the same time.
Yes, it is. Well, because I end up having to put my beanie on. Because my bald head.
I was going to say, I'm suffering from the same issue.
That's right. Yeah, because I don't have very much as it is, so I have to keep it warm.
It's funny. Last weekend, one of our customers said my hair was standing up. I said, "Which one, the left or the right?"
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Listen, have a great day. I appreciate the time on your show.
No problem, man.
Hopefully we'll sell out like you always encourage everybody to come out. So thank you again.
Okay, you have yourself a great day. Sell out.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Yeah, go to your farmers markets, like I said, because there's still vegetables that the farmers have been growing, and I'm pretty sure the Boyle County Farmers Market up at Constitution Square, that'll be there today, and like I said, but it is coming to an end, probably here sometime before the end of the month. Now, for Mercer County, which is fortunate, is inside. So, take advantage of those places that have inside. And I think Boyle County, at the extension office, I think they've got a barn or something out there where they can go if it gets too cold. I'm pretty sure of that. So, but yeah, it's important to have places indoors once the season is over or starting to come to an end, where farmers, they can extend their season just a little bit longer to try to get the last of those vegetables in. And he was right, with these colder temperatures, you may have to start covering up start building them cold frames of somehow, some way, with plastic or buckets or whatever it might be, keep those plants nice and healthy. Because we haven't had any rain, so I hope you folks have been watering, continue to water those plants, your bushes, your shrubs, because once we go like 10, 15 days without rain, like say the plants, they start to stress out. So continue to water them, continue to cover them up. Like say if you've got a little greenhouse or tent or whatever your imagination can come up with, try to help your plants out for the next 30 days because like I say, because they will stress out from lack of water and cold. And the water, like I say, it keeps those roots going. So so every time you think about when you come home, did I water today? If you can't remember watering, you probably didn't. So go ahead and give them a good drink. So this way, come nighttime, it has something to work with. And let's see, last week was pretty busy, just about every day last week with all different types of projects and things that I've been working on. And I trimmed the hedges again, and I guess that's a tip. You can go ahead and trim your hedges. You can trim them now, or you can wait till they go dormant.
Here's the score from the Kentucky.
All right. Jump ball. So I trimmed the hedges. Like I said, you can trim them now, or you can wait until they go dormant. Because I had to trim some back early spring because there at Constitution Square, there's a sidewalk going down, say on the right side, what used to be First Street. There's some hedges there that have been there forever. They're probably like 8 foot wide, 6 to 8 foot wide, and it was starting to get in the way of the sidewalk. So I didn't have a choice but just go ahead and just whack those. I think I cut about 18 inches off in early spring, so that way, people who's walking down the sidewalk won't be running into bushes. And we have people in wheelchairs. They was coming and they're on the far edge of the sidewalk because the bushes were out too far. And so, I guess the second tip is if you've got big old bushes that are in the way, say going up your steps, or they're just way too wide, because I don't know how wide, bushes are supposed to get, but like say the ones at Constitution Square, even after I cut 18 inches off, it's probably, I can't reach my arm out, and with the edgers, I still can't get all the way across to the other side. I'm probably about a foot short or so, trying to trim those hedges on the very top of it, just trying to clean it up. So, but if you've got bushes or trees or any of your plants that are just in the way, and you're tired of looking at it, well, go ahead and just cut them back. So this way, you won't have that to worry about, because some of these bushes, they get 5 foot wide, 6 foot wide, 7 foot wide, 8 foot tall, and they're just too big maybe for that one spot, or it just needs to be cut back to where it's manageable. Because if you have to get on a ladder to trim bushes and shrubs, then it's probably too big. So you probably want to cut that back. And the other tip would be, if you have too much landscape, too many plants, and you're getting to a point, or your age, or a disability that is way too much for you, get rid of some of that stuff. Give it to your neighbors. Give it to some organization or something. So this way, you can start getting your garden back, and something that you can handle. Because I have a client that she didn't realize when she bought the house exactly how much work is going to take, but over the last, say, 6 months, she's realized that she's got a lot of plants. So she's had me digging up plants and bushes and a couple of trees, and giving its neighbors, and just trying to get it down to where she can manage it. Because when you're out there walking in your yard, a lot of times the yard is uneven for one reason or another, which is a hazard. When you're walking in the yard, especially if you're not real stable. So get it back to where you can enjoy it again, because once it gets past that point, you're not enjoying it no more. Now it's pretty much considered a job, because you're having to work extra hard, or you're having to work way too many days just in the yard to try to keep it up. So just make it a point to take a look at it. I like to tell people this time of the year, take a picture of what your yard looks like now. So this way you can start trying to figure out what it is you need to do in your yard to get it back to where, it's controllable. Something you can go out and you can water and just kind of enjoy yourself. It might take you 10 or 15 minutes instead of, 3 or 4 hours a week, because, they got too big or whatever the case may be. So go out and, like I say, really look at your yard and make sure that you have something that you can enjoy. Because if it turns into a job, you're not going to like it as much. So keep that in mind. Let's see, this week I'll be speaking at the Presbyterian Church for the Danville Garden Club. I think that's Wednesday at the Presbyterian Church off of Main Street here in Danville. They invited me to speak about the film that we're doing. Well, that's already been done. And also, let's see, Friday, the 6th through the 8th, I'm probably going down to Louisville to the film festival there to be a part of that. Starting to get pretty excited about that because it'll be my first one. We've done a lot of films when we was in San Francisco and that we've won awards for and different things like that. But to a film festival, I can't say I've ever been to one. So I'm, starting to get a little excited about it. So I'm gonna go down there probably Friday and find a place, get my badges, figure out what I'm supposed to do, figured out pretty much what I'm supposed to say, at least what they've told me I need to say, and then I can kind of expand on it. But starting to get pretty exciting about that, and like I say, the fall is in the air, and all different types of events are coming up. So get out and enjoy it. The Titans, they did a good job last night. They worked real hard, and they got the win. Because in October, high school sports are that's the life. Because I know down in Texas they had built a stadium. I think it seats like 60 or 70,000 people for a high school ball game. So high school sports are really big in a lot of communities. So we need to go out and support those teams and try to help them out. Do whatever we can for them and cheer them on, whether they do good or bad. Because, like I said, they're just kids. They just want to play football. I was one of those kids who just wanted to play football. I enjoyed going out there, and I was a running back in the day, and I was pretty good at it. I was pretty fast. And my coach said, "Hey, well, you need to run track also." So I joined the track team, and that helped me out quite a bit. So but I was just having fun, and I see in the news sometimes where the parents they get, they don't like a call or whatever, and they go crazy, talking to the referees and things. This is a kid's game. Just let them have fun. Referees doing the best they can, and just enjoy the season. Not all calls are going to be good. I get mad too, but I'm not going to go fussing at the referee. So try to behave yourself when you're out and about, because your kids see that and other kids see that, and all they want to do is have fun. I tell you what, let me get my break out the way, and I'll be right back. Well.
Just counting all the dollars I saved at my local Big Deals online store. What? You haven't saved yet? Get on it! You'll love the great selection of gift certificates at discount prices. They make great gifts, too. And you can shop right from your phone. Nothing satisfies like counting all those savings. Now let me get back to it. 6, 7, 8.
Go to hometownlive.net to shop and save at the Big Deals online store. You can also find links to download the free Big Deals Media app for your phone. Works on Apple and Android cells. Shop quickly and access all your mobile Big Deal certificates easily for redemption. You can also easily send a mobile certificate to someone else to use via email. Check it out and join the thousands that save with Big Deal certificates to local businesses.
Shop and save with Big Deals at hometownlive.net. That's hometownlive.net.
We're so excited. Nice weather's here, and we're going to wet our plants. Buddy Beaver here. Mulch to Go now has Rock to Go. Yes, we've been busy little beavers and expanded to add landscape, rock, sand, topsoil, compost, and more. We have a wide selection to choose from in both bulk and bags. Stop by Mulch to Go for your landscape needs from pine nuggets, pine straw, cedar, cypress, and playground chips, too.
Mulch to Go opens at 9 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Call 325-5858. They're located in Harrodsburg on the corner of 127 and Beaumont Avenue across from the old Spirit Chevrolet dealership.
Historic Main Street comes alive September 30th through October 2nd with Kentucky's largest Oktoberfest. It's bigger than ever with double the stages at this year's Oktoberfest in Harrodsburg, where you can catch 3 days of live concerts with everything from 80s hits, reggae, rock to soul, funk, and bluegrass. Indulge in over 20 beers on tap, local food, crafts, and Kinderland, a free family-friendly inflatable park. Admission is free. Visit OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com for full details. That's OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com.
This is Goldie Goldsmith McNary, inviting you to join me each week for What's Happening Goldie, a talk show that features interesting people about interesting things. We'll learn how to stay healthy and keep fit, and we'll explore the world of entertainment. So join me for What's Happening Goldie.
What's Happening Goldie every Wednesday at 10:05 a.m. and Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on WHBN 1420 a.m. and 99.5 FM.
This is Dan Yates, and I want you to join me for Breakfast with the Coaches as we talk Titan football live from the old bus station every Saturday morning this fall from 9 to 10. Tune your radios to WHBN 99.5 FM, AM 1420, or catch our live stream at hometownlive.net. Breakfast with the Coaches is brought to you by Farmers National Bank, Jamie Dunn Shelter Insurance, 101 Business Solutions, Big Deals Online Store, and the old bus station restaurant. Go Titans!
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by the Old Bus Station Restaurant, offering good old-fashioned home cooking. Open for breakfast at 6 weekdays and Saturday at 8. The Old Bus Station Restaurant on South Greenville Street in Harrodsburg.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62. 30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70.
Welcome back to Gardening with James. If you have questions, feel free to call the station or email spreadingcompost@gmail.com.
All right, we're back in the garden. Like I said, it's cool out there this morning, so you may want to put a jacket over top of that long sleeve. And I know some people, they'll be wearing shorts all the way up through December, but I'm not one of those people. I get cold. Once it gets down to maybe like 40 or so, I got to start putting clothes on. I've had my long john set to the side for the last probably 3 or 4 weeks now, and getting ready for it. And like I said, put my beanie on, cover my bald head, trying to stay warm. Because I've got a little bit of work I got to do today. I've got to cut some grass, and I've got to put down 15 bags of mulch to get that out the way. Let's see here. Wednesday, I'll be speaking at the Presbyterian Church at about 1 o'clock. But from 9:30 to 11:30, we'll be members of the Garden Club will be over at Center College. working to put annuals at the Stephen Ralph Powell Memorial Garden, and he's the gentleman who had committed suicide. I guess I didn't know the man, but we're going to be, the memorial is mostly there now because it's right beside the old swimming pool over there at Center College, and it's looking good. So we'll be over there from 9:30 to 11:30, planting flowers and in memory of him. So this way people can come out and enjoy it. And it's got a seating area. It's got a really nice design. So it really looks good. So if you haven't been by there, over there by Center College here in Danville, drive by there. Like I said, right near the football stadium that they're renovating, which looks really good also, because I think they're moving the swimming pool to the other side. So that's where I'll be Wednesday, and like I say, Friday, like I said, we're heading down to Louisville to the Louisville International Film Festival to watch some films. So until next, let's see, I'll be back here Tuesday with Rick, and Tuesday and Thursday, with Rick and Joe. So I'll talk to you soon. Have yourself a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Gardening with James, Saturday mornings on WHBN 99.5 FM, and Tuesdays and Thursdays garden tips on WHIR FM 103.9. If your needs have been met, share it with someone. It will come back tenfold.
Butland, Kentucky, which is just outside of Bardstown. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office said that they originally responded to a domestic disturbance. Nelson County Sheriff Ramon Paneroa was concerned when he heard the news.
I was at a car wash, and if anybody was complaining about a red Tahoe driving like a maniac, I was headed home to get my cruiser and my gun. I was headed to the scene.
That courtesy of WLKY. The suspect has not been identified but is in custody. The injured officer was taken to U of L Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 other officers fired their weapons during the incident, and both are on administrative leave. The Kentucky State Police are investigating. There is a new Commonwealth's attorney in Fayette County. Kimberly Baird was sworn in at midnight. She is the first black woman in the post. She replaces Lou Anna Redcorn, who held the position since 2016 and announced her retirement in early August. And a longtime Western Kentucky lawmaker has died just days after resigning from the General Assembly. Here's Paul Miles.
C.B. Embry recently stepped down from his Kentucky Senate seat due to a long battle with cancer. He died Thursday night at the age of 81. A Republican from Morgantown in Butler County, Embry did not seek re-election this year. He announced his impending retirement earlier this year, but traveled to Frankfort during the special session, even while undergoing cancer treatment. Senator Whitney Westerfield was among the first to report Embry's death, calling him a good man and a dedicated servant of his people to the very end. I'm Paul Miles.
And I'm Jeff Milby.
This is the Kentucky News Network.
I grow corn and beans, and I raise cattle. What I do is good for people, good for Kentucky. And what I don't do is good for the environment. I don't let fertilizer, chemicals, manure, or good farmland run off into the creek. And you know what? Turns out that also makes me more productive and more efficient. If you're a farmer, develop an ag water quality plan. It's never been easier. Go to eec.ky.gov/agwater to find out how.
You may have been born to be wild, but you weren't born to be dead from a needless motorcycle crash. So when you're even just a little impaired, you do not get your motor running. You do not head out on the highway. What you do is get a ride from a sober friend, a taxi or rideshare service, or public transportation. Because you may be looking for adventure, but you're not looking for trouble. Please ride sober. Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highways.
ADA Heating and Air. ADA is on the way.
is Chastity at ADA Heating and Air. Contacting us just got easier. Check us out online at adaheatingandair.com to get information on services and products we offer, schedule service, set up an estimate. You can even fill out a credit application for financing and let us know how we did with our satisfaction survey. Call us at 859-519-6382.
ADA Heating and Air. ADA is on the way.
You get a frantic call saying your grandchild is in trouble and they need help. You're asked to send money fast. Don't do it. I'm Adam Hopkins, security officer at Farmers National Bank. This is called the grandparents scam. Always check with family members or local authorities first.
WHBN Harrodsburg.
This is a Hometown Radio Network information update. The Boyle County Fiscal Court has rejoined in a partnership with the organization that was once known as the Economic Development Partnership. The Boyle County Fiscal Court withdrew from the Economic Development Partnership earlier this year after magistrates became concerned with the organization's progress. However, the EDP restructured to the EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation, and made structural changes, like shrinking its board from nearly 20 members down to 9. The court discussed and ultimately voted to join in on the EDC and its partnership, with Magistrate Jason Cullen serving as the Boyle County Fiscal Court representative on that board. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has announced a new website to help people who are suffering from drug addiction and substance abuse find housing. The partnership is between the Recovery Housing Network and the Kentucky Injury Prevention and Research Center. That website is findrecoveryhousingnowky.org. I'm Joe Mathis. Here are the obituaries. Harvey Ray Voris, age 70, of Harrodsburg, died Sunday. He was the husband of 50 years to Brenda Cox Voris and was a veteran of the United States Navy, serving during the Vietnam War. A private service will be held. Ransdale Funeral Chapel is in charge of the arrangements. Jeremy Grant Thornton, age 47, of Harrodsburg, died Tuesday. He was the fiancé of Rhonda Morrison. Visitation is Saturday from 10, and at the time of the service at 2 o'clock at Alexander and Royalty Funeral Home. And those are today's obituaries on AM 1420 and 99.5 FM WHBN.
It's time now for What's Happening Goldie with Goldie Goldsmith McNary. What's Happening Goldie is brought to you by WHBN. And now, What's Happening Goldie?
As you know, I enjoy sharing and interviewing interesting people around the globe, so to speak, but especially right here in our community. And today I have someone that I find very intriguing and very interesting. Every time I have a conversation with her, I find something new out about her. I became acquainted with her recently because she became one of my vocal clients, and we have just had a blast. So, of course, I'm talking about the one and only Gemma Sigler. So, hello, Gemma.
Hello, Goldie. How are you? I'm fascinated to think that you find me intriguing. My family thinks I'm crazy.
That's why I find you intriguing, because they are a little bit right, you know. I just love the stories that you tell me about your past. How old were you when you went into nursing school?
I was 29 when I went to nursing school.
And you already had 2 children, so you just decided you wanted to get a career.
I started nursing school because I was in a bad marriage, and I needed help, and I needed to escape, and it was the only way I knew. I had to find something where I could support my children. I ran into a friend of mine I went to high school with, and she had gone to the community college and gotten her nursing degree. And she says, Gemma, you can do it. You've had 2 kids. You had birthed a couple kids, and you've nursed their sicknesses and whatever. And she said, you could do it. And I said, but I have to take algebra. I went to a Catholic school when I was in high school, and this nun, she had loose false teeth. And I couldn't understand what she was saying. And I almost flunked algebra. I got like a D-. And I was an A student always. And so that just freaked me out, getting a bad grade. Well, this nursing student told me, she said, go to Miss So-and-so. I can't remember the lady's name, but she was an incredible math teacher. And she said she will make algebra so easy for you, you won't have any trouble. She convinced me, and I went, and I loved math. I loved algebra. I couldn't wait to get home to do the homework. Wow. So that's a difference a teacher can make, you know.
Big time, yes.
Big time. Anyways, I love nursing. I worked on a med-surg floor in Louisville at St. Joe's Hospital and at Audubon Hospital. Sometimes I worked in the recovery room. They used to pull you from one place to the other, so you never knew where you're going to work. just say you're going up here and you go, oh, God, I don't want to work with the children. I don't know anything about all that stuff. But anyways, it's a tough job. It really is, especially now for the nurses now. I'm just, my hearts go out to them. And then for about 2 years, I worked at Fraser Rehab Hospital, and I really enjoyed that, except I always had bruises on my legs from the wheelchairs. It wasn't the patients doing it, but doing it to myself, moving wheelchairs around. But I loved rehab nursing. And, I'm kind of like the family nurse. When anything goes wrong, people call me and say, so-and-so's vomiting, whatever. What should I do? And that sort of thing. And I was married to a doctor. We always got calls at home in the middle of the night for various things. And we were a duo for our family. Everybody in our family got well taken care of. And they knew who to go see and who not to go see.
Mm-hmm. But now you were instrumental in the artificial heart, or no?
No, I knew Dr. DeVries. At that part, I was active in the nurses union, trying to get pay and benefits for nurses in the hospital. It's not unusual, wasn't not then, and I'm sure it's still the same. For a nurse ready to go home, they say, you can't leave, we need you to stay another shift. And nurses have families, right. They have children, and some of them didn't have husbands at home, or some of the male nurses didn't have wives at home to be there for their children, and they say, no, you have to stay. And I would say, no, I'm not staying. And they used to threaten to fire me, but I said, I'm not staying. I'm not going to do that. I've got, the responsibilities. And the hospitals spend tons of money fighting us, but it was out in the street with signs and on TV. And our main issue was patient care. Yeah. They would think nothing of you being a med surg nurse pulling you to the nursery. And it's like, I know nothing about these tiny little babies on tubes and everything, but they'd send you.
Yeah. Now, what year was this? Would you call it a protest that you all did, or because weren't you on 2020?
Oh yeah, we were on 2020. We were exposing some of the practices that were going on in the hospital and the cost. We were exposing the cost. For example, at that time, someone gave us a list. They found it in the garbage can, a list of what the hospital paid for an item and how much they charged. For example, one aspirin would cost $20. They would charge you $20. Yeah. A bottle of IV fluids, and these numbers are a little off, but not much, was maybe like $1.20, and they charge the patient $72. One of the many reasons why healthcare is so expensive. Yeah. Yeah. And so we contacted a healthcare activist group, and they put us on to 2020. And Sam Donaldson came down to Louisville. He followed my mother, who was having surgery. They took a video of her being driven to the hospital and going to the hospital doors, and then her coming out, and then when she got her bill. And for example, the eye patch, it was a cotton eye patch, went over her eye. They charged her $7 for it. It was probably, 3 cents. I can't remember what it cost, but it wasn't very much. My mother's last name was Peacock, and he said, Mrs. Peacock, what do you think of this? And my mom said, it's highway robbery. But all the hospitals were doing it, and they probably still are. I don't know what the answer is. I think national health care is the answer. Yeah. I don't see how some of these families can afford the insurance and the expense if you don't have insurance. I mean, we're looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars if people don't have insurance and they have to pay. They'll lose their home and everything. So I really think we need national health care.
We're going to take a short break, but What's Happening Goldie will be right back. You're listening to WHBN, The Rooster, 1420 AM and 99.5 FM.
My name is Casey Riggs. I'm from Rough River, Kentucky. I've sung all my life, started out in church, of course. From there, I sung any opportunity I could. I come to Studio G to develop my voice and, most importantly, confidence. I'm now part of a group called the Purple Vibes. We sing in local festivals, shows here at Studio G, and without Studio G, I wouldn't have that opportunity.
Studio G is the performing arts place. To learn more, call 859-734-4394. Studio G, the G stands for growth.
The Barbershop in Harrodsburg is operated by Darren Ransdell. Located on North College next to Minnemore, the Barbershop offers haircuts of any style, and they can keep your beard trimmed. We'll be out to visit them. The Barbershop is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5, and also Saturday, 7:30 to noon.
You're listening to WHBN, 1420 AM and 99.5 FM. And this is What's Happening, Goldie?
And today I have someone that I find very intriguing and very interesting. the one and only Gemma Sigler. How did you find Studio G?
Well, I was very lucky. They were getting ready to do Mamma Mia at the Ragged Edge, and my daughter called me and said, Mom, you have got to audition for that, because people my whole life have told me I look like Meryl Streep. And I said, Laura, I have no acting ability. I've never acted before. She said, you can do it. Go see Goldie. I said, who's Goldie? I just moved to town. Who's Goldie? You don't know who Goldie is? I said, no, who's Goldie? And so she told me who you were and where I could find you. And I found Goldie walking on the street. She wasn't walking the street. She was just walking on the streets out in front of her place. And I talked to Goldie, and she said, sure, come in, because I was having trouble singing some of the high notes. I was in choir in grade school. The nun told me I had alto voice, and my friend had alto. So she put us next to each other, and we got thrown out of choir for talking and laughing. So it was the nun's mistake for putting us together. But anyways, we were thrilled because we didn't have to get up for a 7 o'clock mass, so we were okay with that. Coming to Goldie's is my therapy. My mom played the piano all the time, and there was always music in our home, and I really miss it. And coming to Goldie's is just so much fun. We have a blast. I feel like... I don't know. I feel like I'm being entertained.
Sweet. I'll pay you later. No, this is not a commercial for Studio G. It's just another adventure of her life's journey. She just recently finished almost a 2-hour showcase at the studio. We started out with 28 songs, and then we narrowed it down to 24, I think, or something, that you had the whole night all by yourself. What was that like?
It was nerve-wracking, but it was fun. I love singing, and I tell Goldie every time she says, let's try this song, and I go, I love this song. I love every song I sing. And she introduced me to Billie Holiday, which I knew who Billie Holiday was, but I never really knew her songs, and I absolutely love her songs now. And I just love singing, and I look so forward to coming. I'm upset if for some reason I can't make a class or I have to cancel, but I love coming here. It's like feeding my soul. It really is. It really is. And it brings back memories from my childhood of my mom playing the piano and singing. And I tell everybody it's my therapy. And I'm with a group of women called the Golden Girls. And the Golden Girls, a lot of times, I have several of them that come here and we do crazy things on stage. First time we came to see Goldie, I had to have my 2 friends, my sidekicks come, or I'm their sidekick, come with me to see Goldie, because I wasn't sure what she was going to do to me to make me sing better. And so she had us do some improv on stage, and we had so much fun. We giggled and we laughed and we sang. Those 2 women, Dawn and Alona, we do a song from Mamma Mia, Super Trooper, and then we do All About the Bass. And we get to wear costumes and makeup and eyelashes and kind of like Alona. And we just have a blast here. It's too much fun. If any women and men are sitting home and just feel like, there's not a lot of excitement in their life, they need to come up here. We have a blast. We have so much fun.
Do you mind telling them how young you are?
I'm 75, going on 18.
Never, ever, ever too late. You're also an artist. Your paintings are absolutely incredible, just so beautiful. So how did you get involved in art?
When I was about 12 years old, a friend's aunt took us to Chicago Museum of Art. And I can still remember to this day standing in front of Rembrandt's Girl at Half Door. Her eyes were looking at me, and I couldn't believe someone could have painted this. This wasn't a real person. And from that day on, I wanted to be an artist. When I was about in my 20s, I saw in the Courier-Journal, I lived in Louisville, that a woman named Ilona Royce Smithkin was giving classes at an art gallery in Louisville. And I think it cost like $50, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I scraped it together, got my mom to watch my kids, and I went, and it was a week long, and it was from like 12 to 2. And I learned so much in that little class, and I was hooked. And she came to Louisville every spring and fall, and I took classes for years. And in later years, she stayed at our house with us, and she's quite a character. She just died at the age of 101, and she's all over the internet. They did a huge article on her in the New York Times. And she became a singer at the Waldorf Astoria. I love this story. She was born in, I think it was Germany, but she had that accent. And so she did a Marlene Dietrich, and she would get on stage at 81 wearing fishnet stockings, high heels, really tight skirt, and a fancy top, and sang those songs from that day. She always would say, you just have to believe you can do it. And if somebody was knocking themselves for not being a good artist, she'd say, you've got to be patient with yourself. Nobody's perfect, and you've got to be patient with yourself. And anybody can learn to paint. You just have to be patient. In fact, I'm getting ready to start giving art classes at my house.
Well, I know you used to do art classes at the Mercer County Art Gallery when it was open. And you've talked about doing, I don't know if you call it a podcast, but you were talking about doing a channel, a video channel of teaching people.
I was just talking about that today with my friend Alona and her daughter. We're going to do it. Well, anyone can learn to paint. You could have one apple in the middle of the room and 10 people, and that apple will be totally different. So you got to tell people, you don't have to be like everybody else. You know, some people might see different colors, and it's just all individual.
What's Happening Goldie will be back after this break. This is The Rooster, WHBN, 1420 AM and 99.5 FM.
We're halfway through the football season. It's the Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, live from the Harrodsburg Pizza Hut Monday nights from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR and WHBN. We talk live with all the area high school football coaches of Danville, Boyle County, Lincoln County, Garrett County, and Mercer County, as well as reports from Center College head coach Andy Fry and UK head football coach. The Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, Mondays from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR, WHBN, and HometownLive.net.
Need a rapid test for COVID-19, strep, or flu? Come to Real Health Primary Care in Danville. Walk-ins are welcome. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 in the Southland Plaza, 975 Houstonville Road. Same-day appointments. Call 209-2331. 209-2331.
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Mulch to Go, Harrodsburg's home for bulk and bag mulch. 100% natural, no waste wood, local delivery available. Located at the corner of South College Street in Beaumont.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62. 30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70.
You're listening to WHBN, 1420 AM and 99.5 FM. And this is What's Happening, Goldie?
First annual Oktoberfest, sponsored by Harrodsburg First and Mercer County's Arts Council, showcased some great performers, including an unscheduled blues set performed by Studio G's very own Katie Harden and Nashville blues guitarist Rick Armitage.
Yeah. She sung these songs after me. She sang about a little bit of Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. And she said, let's do some Tennessee whiskey. And I was singing, Tennessee River. No, man, listen to this song.
I used to spend my nights out in a barroom. Liquor was the only love I've ever known. But you're asking me from reaching for the bottle, brought me back from being too far gone. Oh, you're as sweet. That's sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. May I stay stoned on your mind all the time.
I told Katie to remind me, you know that song, Tennessee Waltz? When the guy so kindly lent his lady to his best friend for a dance, and that was the last time he saw her. Make you want to drink whiskey.
You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a last brandy. Honey, I stay strong on your love all the time. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey, oh, Tennessee whiskey. Oh, you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey.
Katie Harden.
What's Happening Goldie will be back after this break. This is The Rooster, WHBN, 1420 AM and 99.5 FM.
Historic Main Street comes alive September 30th through October 2nd with Kentucky's largest Oktoberfest. It's bigger than ever with double the stages at this year's Oktoberfest in Harrodsburg, where you can catch 3 days of live concerts with everything from 80s hits, reggae, rock to soul, funk, and bluegrass. Indulge in over 20 beers on tap, local food, crafts, and Kinderland, a free family-friendly inflatable park. Admission is free. Visit OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com for full details. That's OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com.
The weather is changing, which means fall is here and winter is just around the corner. While the days are getting shorter, the businesses of Mercer County are working harder. They are working harder to provide a place for you and your family to enjoy this holiday season. Grab your family and enjoy a hike at Shaker Village. Head to Old Fort Heritage State Park and enjoy a historic tour. Or take a stroll in historic downtown Harrodsburg and enjoy shopping and dining. Regardless of where you spend your time this holiday season, we hope you spend it with the people dearest to you. This ad is paid for by the Harrodsburg Mercer County Tourist Commission.
You're listening to WHBN 1420 AM and 99.5 FM. And this is What's Happening, Goldie?
Once again, here's Studio G's very own Katie Harden and Nashville blues guitarist Rick Armitage performing live on the stage at Oktoberfest.
Put your hand.
And I'm just about to lose my
This is WHBN Harrodsburg, The Rooster, broadcasting on AM 1420 and now FM 99.5. Now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Scott Carr. North Carolina and Virginia are under states of emergency as post-tropical cyclone Ian brings flooding and power outages to those states. As of 5 a.m. Eastern Time, the storm was centered 30 miles south of Greensboro, North Carolina, spreading heavy rain across the mid-Atlantic. The National Hurricane Center says Ian's expected to produce up to 4 inches of rain from the Appalachians to the coast, creating possible river flooding and flash flooding. Authorities in central Florida are warning people that floodwaters will keep rising there, even though Ian's moved on. The Florida death toll is now up to at least 33, though thousands still remain missing. Emergency officials said Friday stormwater flowing north from Orange County will keep floodwaters rising in Seminole County. A shooting at a high school homecoming football game last night left one teenager dead, another injured. Jim Forbes has more.
Authorities in Tulsa, Oklahoma say a suspect is still at large after the Friday night shooting at McLean High School. Tulsa police say the shooting happened in front of a large crowd near a homecoming football game. Officers found 2 teenage victims suffering with gunshot wounds. A 17-year-old boy was pronounced dead at the scene, and another 17-year-old is in stable condition. A search is now underway for the suspect, who police say ran off and is armed and dangerous.
Congress has avoided a partial government shutdown after the House passed a stopgap funding bill last night. Without the bill, federal agencies would have been forced to partially shut down starting today for lack of funding. The stopgap bill will keep the government running through December 16th. It includes another $12.3 billion to help Ukraine defend itself against Russian forces. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan's denounced Russia's so-called annexation of territories in Ukraine. On Friday, Sullivan called it a sham and a flagrant violation of international law and said the annexation will never be recognized by the United States or the world. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
I grow corn and beans, and I raise cattle. What I do is good for people, good for Kentucky. And what I don't do is good for the environment. I don't let fertilizer, chemicals, manure, or good farmland run off into the creek. And you know what? Turns out that also makes me more productive and more efficient. If you're a farmer, develop an ag water quality plan. It's never been easier. Go to eec.ky.gov/agwater to find out how.
You may have been born to be wild, but you weren't born to be dead from a needless motorcycle crash. So when you're even just a little impaired, you do not get your motor running. You do not head out on the highway. What you do is get a ride from a sober friend, a taxi or rideshare service, or public transportation. Because you may be looking for adventure, but you're not looking for trouble. Please ride sober. Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
North Korea has fired a 4th round of ballistic missiles this week. South Korean and Japanese officials say that 2 short-range missiles were launched out of North Korea into the waters off of its east coast, the launch coming just one day after the U.S., Japan, and South Korea held a joint anti-submarine naval exercise. A sailor in San Diego accused of destroying a billion-dollar warship has been found not guilty. Lucinda Kay reports.
After the verdict, 21-year-old Ryan Mays tells reporters he's relieved after the toughest phase of his life.
Grateful that this is finally over. It's been a long 2 years. I could say that the past 2 years have been the hardest 2 years of my entire life as a young man. I've lost friends, I've lost time with family, and my entire Navy career was ruined.
Prosecutors accused then 19-year-old Mays of starting the fire because he didn't make it as a Navy SEAL. The defense says investigators didn't follow the evidence. The billion-dollar ship, the USS Bonhomme Richard, burned for 4 days and has since been decommissioned and scrapped. The Navy judge acquitted Mays after a 9-day trial at Naval Base San Diego. I'm Lucinda Kay.
Bristol, Rhode Island is the safest college town in America. That's according to SafeWise, an independent review site that tracks national crime and safety trends. They say their crunch of FBI data shows the home of Roger Williams University can brag of a violent crime rate of 0.23 per 1,000 residents and a property crime rate of 3.17. Jimmy Carter is celebrating his 98th birthday today. The former president and wife Rosalind are expected to spend the day celebrating at their family home in Plains, Georgia. The Carter Center is inviting well-wishers to send birthday greetings and photos to them at cartercenter.org. Also in celebration, 98 people will become American citizens today at the Carter Library and Museum. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
This is a Hometown Radio Network information update. A new bill would allow Kentuckians to put themselves on a block list from buying firearms. Representative Lisa Wilner is proposing a bill that would allow people who they think may be at risk of committing suicide to put themselves on a list where they would not be allowed to buy firearms. In order for this to work, if someone were to register their own name, they would be added to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. The bill also would make it illegal for anyone to falsely add or remove someone from the registry. After celebrations ensued on State Street following UK's win over Florida a couple of weeks ago, where people started fires and turned over vehicles, Lexington and police have now set parking restrictions in place, and those will remain in place for the remainder of the season. Those restrictions will include game days and in a handful of other areas. No arrest or charges have been filed yet in the incidents that happened on State Street following that UK win over Florida. I'm Joe Mathis.
This is Caraway and Adeline at Mattresses and More, next door to Ace Hardware on Houstonville Road in Danville. If you are looking for a new furniture or bedding, stop by and check us out. New merchandise arriving weekly, and we sell off the floor. Come see our Nana for the best deal around. You'll be glad you did.
Mattresses and More than a mattress store, located in Danville. Phone 859-236-1646 and like them on Facebook at Mattresses and More. You deserve the best town, best friends, best family, and yes, you deserve the best full-service banking center. You deserve Town & Country Bank and Trust, voted the best customer service in Anderson County by you. No matter whether you're making a deposit, speaking to a loan officer, or calling our Customer Resource Center, we focus on creating lasting relationships with all of our customers. Town & Country Bank and Trust. Visit us online at mytcbt.bank or at our Lawrenceburg Banking Center location. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Catch these real deals at your Napa of Harrodsburg. Instant rebate. Buy qualifying 5-quart API motor oil, $32.99. Get a Max Clean free, $17.99 value. Get a 1000A jump starter for $74.99. Napa 15W40 HD motor oil, $13.29 a gallon. Save $10 when you purchase a pair of exact fit beam, blades, and rear blade. Pro or do-it-yourself, Napa has the right tools for the right job. Your one-stop shop for real savings. Harrodsburg Napa, located in North College Street. Save more money by signing up for the Napa Rewards.
It's 9:07.
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Big Deals Online Store. Shop and save on gift certificates to local businesses at big discounts. Save 20 to 30 to 50% every day at hometownlive.net.
Good morning. I have your WHBN weather forecast. Today will be sun and clouds mixed. High of 72. Tonight, a few clouds. 15% chance of that is, of a rain shower, low of 48. Sunday, mostly sunny skies, high of 71. Sunday night, partly cloudy skies, low of 43. Monday, sunny with a high near 70. Tuesday, sunny with a high near 72. Wednesday, sunny with a high near 75. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high of 77. Friday will be partly cloudy with a high of 63. Football Friday night will be partly cloudy overnight with a low of 38. Speaking of football, we have coming up for you next, Breakfast with the Coaches. Join Dan Yates as he talks with the coaches and players of the Mercer County Titans right here on WHBN Harrodsburg, the Rooster.
It's time once again for Breakfast with the Football Coaches and Players, live from the old bus station restaurant on South Greenville Street. Breakfast with the Coaches is brought to you by Farmers National Bank, Jamie Dunn Shelter Insurance, 101 Business Solutions, the Big Deals Online Store at hometownlive.net, and the old bus station restaurant. Now, let's go out live to the old bus station restaurant and your hosts, Dan Yates.
College and have to deal with Elliot Uzelak. I'm going to take my fucking 13, I'm going to stick it up your fucking ass, you fucking piece of shit. Whoa. He did it to me once, I cussed him out.
Hey, I think we're in the air here. Test, 1, 2, test. Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, good morning. This is Dan Yates. Welcome to Breakfast with the Coaches. We're here live with head coach Craig Yeast. Craig Yeast, I understand last night, in that I didn't get to attend the game, that we had a spectacular evening and a 56-6 victory over Western Hills.
Yeah, we did. Good to be on with you. I've been gone for a couple weeks. 1 week I was sick. Last week I went to go see my firstborn play.
And let's talk about
NFL
that,
game.
Coach.
But we can come back to that.
Okay.
But yeah, last night we started out really slow against Western Hills, and then we picked it up. And once we picked it up, we played really good football. We had a lot of young men make a lot of plays, and I was proud of the effort. We took care of the business that we need to take care of. We still got some things that we need to fix and clean up if we want to try to make a run at this thing. But at the end of the day, we won the game. We won the game the way we were supposed to win the game. And again, we had a lot of guys make a lot of plays. They had fun with each other, cheering on each other. And that's what it's really all about. And again, and then after the game, they were really excited because I fed them a 2-piece chicken and a biscuit from Bojangles, and it was good.
Did you eat it on the bus, outside, on the parking lot? Where'd you eat it?
I ate wherever they had it.
That's awesome.
Grab and go.
Coach, let's run through this. We have 5 excellent young athletes here with us this morning, good-looking young men, and I think every one of them are on this scoring sheet from last evening. But my cohorts were there at the ball game, and here are the notes that I have. First quarter, 3:52 remaining. Number 22, Denham Griffith on a 6-yard TD run, and Jace Kokenauer's kick was good. Mercer County 7, Western Hills 0.
Yeah, we did a really good job up front. Once we got the ball. Like I said, it took us a while to get off the field on defense in that first drive. But once we got the ball, we went down the field pretty quick. And Denham was running really hard. Offensive line was blocking hard, and we punched it in.
Well, Coach, if there's any defensive linemen out there or offensive linemen out there listening this morning that used to play the game, you got to stand up and cheer for this young man. 2:04 remaining in the first. Kingston Mays, number 57, on a 36-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. And my good friend Gary True and Todd Davis, they have notes here that Mays took the ball away from the running back at the point of tackle, and Kingston, and then he picks the ball up, and 36 yards later, Coach, crosses the goal line. Jace Kokenauer's PAT is good, and it's 14-zip Mercer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking up, and we're on defense, and then all of a sudden, Kingston just takes off running the other way, and everybody's cheering. And I really, from my vantage point, I really couldn't see what happened, but apparently he hit the running back, took the ball away from him, and he's off and running.
Coach, he was the first man down here this morning. I thought he had a little extra.
But I'm telling you, Coach, it's the funniest thing you ever want to see with Kingston running down the field with the ball. His legs is going everywhere. His arms is going the other direction. And then the defender is chasing him from behind. And, instead of running away from the defender, we started weaving towards the defender. But he got in there, man. It was funny to watch.
That is awesome. It's such a happy moment. There's things about each of these players that are here this morning that I look at and have remembered. And I told Kingston this morning when he first come in, I still remember the effort that he put forth at the Pulaski Southwestern game from the defensive line standpoint. I mean, Coach, he uses his hands, his arms, his quickness. And, I mean, he was being double-teamed and just was in there battling. But you really learn to appreciate positions like that each of these guys play.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're starting to understand everything that we're being taught. And I think last night was an opportunity for them to go out and do the things that we are asking them to do on a consistent basis. And when we do it right, it works.
Well, Coach, second quarter, 8:49 remaining. Denham Griffith, number 22, for his second score on an 8-yard touchdown run. Jace Kokenauer, perfect on the evening. 21-zip Mercer County. And this was set up apparently by a Drakeford pass catch of 22 yards from Mays to keep the drive going at that point.
Yeah, really. We ran, we got in a nub tight end set and ran 3 verticals. And really on that play, he should have thrown the ball right down the seam immediately to Drakeford, and it would have been an easy walk-in touchdown. But we kind of held the ball a little bit, and then we made the throw, and it was not the right throw. But what happened on that play is Ashton came back for the ball, fight for the ball, and really made an excellent catch, and then took off and scampered for another 10 or 15 yards before they tackled him. So it was a really excellent play by Ashton Drakeford to come back and make that play and make that catch.
And you know,
really good
Coach,
play by him.
when I look at Ashton and number 8, Jackson Perry, who are here with us this morning, you know, the things that stand out about them, you know, you've got a receiving core of 9 guys. Each one of them has caught a ball. You spread the ball around to them, but I really appreciate what they do when the ball's not in their area. They run great routes. And, Coach, these guys get that first step, and I'm assuming you've really worked with them on this, but those first 3 steps off the ball from the snap, I mean, especially these two, and Landon Yates even from when he's squeezed down to the formation, but they get off the ball so well. They do a great job stalk blocking, and they frame it up correctly. Tell me about how you get them to that point.
Well, I mean, they're probably in practice tired of Coach Gooden and myself getting on them about blocking, getting on them about catching the ball and getting up the field, and they're actually doing a good job. I mean, I don't think people realize Ashton Drakeford is a freshman.
Yeah.
Jackson Perry is a junior. And he doesn't have any real varsity experience. This is his first year. So even though he's a junior, he's still a puppy at it when it comes to varsity experience. So they're learning, they're growing. And the one thing about him is you take a young man like Jackson, he's pretty good size, and we're starting to move him around. He's not just playing on the outside.
Right.
You know, I line him up at times in the backfield as a wing tight end and as an inline tight end, so he can do multiple different things.
Did you see the finesse in the hands of number 22, Denham Griffith, here as those pancakes were served to him? He reached up and delicately, I mean, not a piece of bacon. The syrup stayed level until the plate landed, and
man,
he's diving in right now.
It's like the ball.
I'm telling you, Coach. Okay, second quarter, 4:57. Drakeford on a 43-yard TD pass from Mays. And, Coach, here are the notes in parentheses from my guys up in the box. They said it was an absolutely beautiful throw.
Yep, it was. It was a really good throw. It was right on the money. It was what we work on every day with Noose Pack and Go. The thing about it is, as beautiful as the throw was, what I was more excited about is our freshman Ashton Drakeford, who runs vertical routes, and he's really good at it, but he always runs straight to the sideline.
Yeah.
And so this week on that play, not only did he go around the defender, he stacked the defender, and he didn't run straight to the sideline, and Thaddeus dropped it right in the bucket, walk-in touchdown. So that's what I'm happy. I'm happy to see the execution of the play and the things that we're coaching them to do, and then it works. You know, so it's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Pretty good by 2 good players.
Jace Kokenauer's kick was good, so 28-zip with 4:57 remaining. 1 minute later, Coach, Pfister on a 4-yard touchdown run set up by an interception by number 8, who's sitting here over only 2 biscuits left, Jackson Perry.
Hey, tips and overthrows, Coach. Tips and overthrows.
Tips and overthrows.
You know, the person that made that play is Jackson Mapp, you know, because they tried to throw a little seam route. He jumped the route, got a hand on it, broke the ball up. Now the ball is a tip ball. And we're hustling. Jackson Perry's hustling. The ball hits him in his lap. He tried to drop it. He fumbled a little bit, hit the ground, and kept his hands under it. And we're all on the sideline jumping, going side. Hey, and it's an interception. So good play, really good play. Great effort. That's one of those plays that we had pressure on the quarterback. We had one defender make a play, and the other defender finished the play. You know,
that takes me back to a couple of games ago when you were on the offensive side of the ball, and the pass was deflected, and one of your own receivers was keen enough to catch the ball on a deflected pass. So it works on both sides of the ball, but
it does.
Just that hand-eye coordination.
Sometimes it's just about hustle, right?
It's all about hustle, Coach.
Hustle and playing hard.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, at the 3:57 mark, you turn right around, and 14 seconds later, Youngblood from Western Hills gets an 80-yard touchdown run. The kick was no good. It's 35-6 at that point.
Yeah.
But you bounce right back, minute and 43 later, 2 minutes remaining in the first half, And Denham Griffith, number 22, gets his third score of the half.
Yeah.
And Kokenauer, as usual, perfect on the PAT, 42-6 at the half. Coach, what do you say to these guys when you get in there at halftime? How do you contain your enthusiasm, and what do you do? How do you direct them to go out and do something efficient in the second half?
I didn't say anything to them. No, I didn't say anything to him. I talked to my coaches about some stuff.
Okay.
Coach Harris was I don't want to say very upset, but he was not happy with some of the things that was going on defensively, especially early on or
Coach,
just in the second half overall. First half.
Would you agree that all defensive coaches are like that?
Well, he had every right to be upset.
He was
about,
upset because he didn't have the goose egg at that point, right?
Well, it wasn't about the goose egg. It was about why are you trying to fit in the gap that you are not coached to fit in?
Right.
And every time you fit in that gap, or if you are the outside linebacker and you have the force, then why are you going inside? And they did that several times. So he wanted to talk to the players and make some adjustments and give them some words of encouragement. Then I didn't say anything, but he did.
Well, Coach, the first half was loaded with scoring. We're going to look forward to the third quarter, 8:11 remaining. At this point, it was a running clock, and Jackson Perry lit it up again, a 29-yard touchdown pass from Mays. Jace Kokenauer's kick is good, 49-6. And then you migrate into the fourth quarter, 3:28 remaining. When that rolling clock.
Hey, what they don't tell you is Jackson Perry jumped over and on top of one of the kids' heads and caught that touchdown.
That's awesome. Very athletic move.
I think they say that Moss, you got Moss type of thing. That's what he did on that play.
That's awesome, Coach.
So I just don't want people to miss that.
That's hustle and desire right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent. 3:28 remaining. We talked about this earlier. Shepperson on a 4-yard touchdown run. And Jace Kokenauer, perfect on the evening, 56-6. Tell me about the Shepperson series there, if you will.
Well, Andrew's always saying, I want to run the ball, We hadn't really let him run the ball since probably camp. So, Coach Smith's a running back coach, and he says, hey, I want to put Andrew in and let him run the ball and just see how he looks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing about Andrew is, he's going to go full speed.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
I watched that on special teams.
He's going to go full speed. He's not always under control, but he gets the ball and he runs really hard and he runs downhill. So I think I gave him the ball about 5, 6, maybe 7 times in a row. But the thing about it is I think that everybody knew what was going on in terms of the team, the players out on the field. The offensive line decided to come off the ball. They really done an excellent job of just blocking people. And we lined up and ran the ball, I don't know, maybe 30, 40, maybe 50 yards. I'm not sure how long. Keep up with stats. And he made some really good runs. They did a really good job of blocking. And he finally punched it in after he stumbled and failed the play before.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, dive into your breakfast there. We're going to take our first break, a 3-minute break. I want to thank our sponsors, Big Deals Online Store, 101 Business Solutions, Farmers National Bank, Shelter Insurance. Jamie Dunn is our agent, and we're going to give those folks some airtime. Folks, if you're out and about this morning, stop by the old bus station. We're out here on the pavilion. It's 51 degrees outside, but it's a very comfortable 52 degrees inside here on the porch. So come on down and have some breakfast with us and say hi to these young players this morning.
Big deals. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hi, Jenny here. Just counting all the dollars I saved at my local Big Deals online store. What? You haven't saved yet? Get on it. You'll love the great selection of gift certificates at discount prices. They make great gifts, too. And you can shop right from your phone. Nothing satisfies like counting all those savings. Now let me get back to it. 6, 7, 8.
Go to hometownlive.net to shop and save at the Big Deals online store. You can also find links to download the free Big Deals Media app for your phone. Works on Apple and Android cells. Shop quickly and access all your mobile Big Deal certificates easily for redemption. You can also easily send a mobile certificate to someone else to use via email. Check it out and join the thousands that save with Big Deal certificates to local businesses.
Shop and save with big deals at hometownlive.net. That's hometownlive.net.
As a business owner, you carry the weight of your company on your shoulders and know that time is money. Let 101 lift some of that weight by ordering your office supplies, keeping your printers printing, and managing your supply closet, all at no cost. 101 is ready to go to work for you. Call them and get an appointment with one of their consultants. Visit them on the web at come101.com. That's come101.com, or call them at 734-3536, or visit them at the Harrodsburg Herald.
We're halfway through the football season. It's the Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, live from the Harrodsburg Pizza Hut Monday nights from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR and WHBN. We talk live with all the area high school football coaches of Danville, Boyle County, Lincoln County, Garrett County, and Mercer County, as well as reports from Center College head coach Andy Fry and UK head football coach. The Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, Mondays from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR, WHBN, and HometownLive.net.
Do you own a business? If so, save money and time with Farmers National Bank's free business checking. You receive 1,000 free monthly transaction items, free online banking, free bill pay, free e-statements. Plus, you get a free gift at account opening. Call us at 866-888-0220 or stop into one of our convenient locations for assistance. Farmers National Bank, your lifetime bank. $50 minimum deposit at account opening. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
After I drop the kids off, I have to run across town for a meeting, hit the gym during lunch. Jake has soccer tonight, and Emily has gymnastics? Oh, did I turn on the crock pot this morning?
With a never-ending to-do list, it's easy to forget something important, like setting up a life insurance plan with Shelter Insurance. Your local Shelter agent can show you how to create a safety net for your family. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
I'm Jamie Dunn, your local Shelter Insurance agent. We're your shield, we're your shelter.
Good morning. Welcome back to Breakfast with the Coaches. We're live here at the Old Bus Station, Greenville Street, downtown Harrodsburg. Folks, in case you are blind, can't hear, I just want to share with you that there is an amazing event going on Main Street this weekend. It is the annual Oktoberfest celebration. Coach, I remained here last evening. I had a commitment with our Rotary Club, and we work for Oktoberfest. We donate our time and services to receive some money, which we in turn donate back in the form of scholarships to Bergen Independent and Mercer County Senior High School, and we're happy to do so. But there was an amazing number of people, some tremendous food out there, food trucks from everywhere. But folks, if you are out and about, please come downtown Main Street. Lots of great music, great food, and it's just a great opportunity to see a lot of people that you know and even more people that you've never met, because there were people here from just so many different states. But a lot of good things happening this weekend, Main Street, Harrodsburg. Coach, on the headset here, we have slowed down number 22, Denham Griffith, from attacking that final 5 or 6 bites of pancakes. But D. Griffith, number 22, looks like you had a pretty good evening last night.
Can you hear him? I guess he's a man of many
few words. Well, let me be a little more specific.
He did have a good game last night.
He had a tremendous game. 1, 2, 3 scores last night. Denham, I've often said throughout the year so far that your yards are the hardest earned yards among any of the other backs or receivers, because, you're getting them 2 and 3 at a time, and sometimes, a 6 might be a long run for you, but tremendous effort and enthusiasm and energy that you run with. Tell me what it's like when you get the pigskin. Get that mic a little bit closer. I'm not hearing you very well. Okay. Try it now. Okay, I'm not hearing. Can you hear him back at the station?
It's kind of hard to hear him, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Not at all.
Can you hear him back
Ladies
there
and
at the
gentlemen,
station?
we're having some technical difficulties, but it's okay.
I tell you what we'll do, Coach. Just switch headsets there real quick. I want the folks to hear number 22 this morning. 22, Denham Griffith, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Breaker, come in there, 22. All right, what's the greatest thing? What's it like when Mays hands the ball off to you and you're darting through all those linemen, huh? Making those tough yards?
It feels good, making defenders miss and stuff.
You just don't look like that aggressive little fireball. I mean, you're so calm and meek here as you're having breakfast with us. He just changes personalities when he puts that uniform on. Huh? You're fun to watch. You realize that? You all are. Every one of these guys are.
Thank you.
What's your goal for this team for this year?
The goal, obviously one thing, state championship.
Okay. You know, that's a tough road to travel. It's a tough road. It's a lot of hard work. What's been the highlight of your season so far as a player?
As a player, probably beating Danville.
Okay.
Because that game, going into that game was it was so big for us.
You kind of got a personal little rivalry going on there, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Coach, that takes me back a few years when I was blessed to be among a lot of great athletes, and we beat them in a bowl game over here, 33-32, and yeah, it's just exciting to beat those rivals. But you know what? It seems like we.
Bowl, wasn't it?
No, it was the CKC Bowl Championship. Thank you very much. Yeah, November 17th, 1974. In case you're wondering, but. I tell you, it's just a great game. But, you know, Mercer County is a lot of people's rivals. I mean, it really is. I don't know why it is, but, you know, the old Anderson County rivalry has been revived. Used to be Garrett County and teams of that nature. But and I think that's because we play such a good brand of football here.
Yeah.
What was summer practice like?
It was definitely different from
I hear a whistle from over here in the crowd.
Definitely different from last year.
Yeah.
It was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It was a lot harder. We had to work harder, but most importantly, we had to learn a whole new offense.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing, just getting to learn a whole new offense.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, Denham, I want to get everybody on the air this morning, but I just want to share with you, we appreciate what you do. I mean, up in the booth, the two guys I'm with and myself, you make it a joy to watch the game, but appreciate everything you do. Who do you want to give a shout-out to this morning?
Shout out to the whole O-line.
Awesome, babe. Awesome.
I mean, the hoes were crazy.
That's awesome. Well,
big holes to run through last
yeah.
Well, that's huge. Denham Griffith on a tremendous evening. Denham, I'm sure that our guys in the booth named you the offensive player of the game. We do that each and every week, offensive, defensive, big play, offensive lineman, defensive lineman of the week, and things of that nature. But congrats to you, and we're going to let you hand that ball off gently to Mr. Jackson Perry, who I believe on Friday nights wears number 8. And Coach Jackson, whoa, stand up, Jackson.
Big, tall young man.
Is he 6'3", Coach?
6'3". Yeah, he's tall. He's taller than 6'3".
I'm about 6'5".
Well, he's got his boots on.
I'm telling you what, I did not realize you're that tall. Have a seat there, relax. Where's our little radio, Coach? It's making that funny noise.
I hadn't touched anything. Can you hear?
Hang on 1 second, right here. All right, just got a few technical difficulties this morning. Jackson Perry, number 8. Turn it around again, Coach. A couple of big plays for you last night. Tell me about this interception. Tell me how it all shook out.
Well, that corner, Jackson Mapp just kind of hit the ball away from the receiver, and it kind of just fell in my lap. And I really didn't catch it, but I just got up and acted like I caught it. It was kind of
come on now.
So I just faked it, and the refs believed it, so it was all good.
Well,
that's the thing. You know, when you make a play like that, you're supposed to act like you caught it.
that's right. That's right.
He did that.
You're on the big stage, and you got to act well. That was nice. But 29 yards later, you score, and that had to be exciting.
Yeah, it was.
It's interesting because scoring as a receiver, and again, I compliment you and your receiving core. You scored on both sides of the ball now. You got to love that. Awesome. What's the most favorite part of the game for you?
I really like just pancaking the corners. That's the funnest thing to do.
Well, I said earlier, you and your crew, you especially, you've made some great blocks. And Coach, people don't realize that when you get a running back, a dual threat quarterback like our own number one, Mr. Mays, when he's got a good stalk block out there, your traditional running back's got a couple of, but Mays, Thaddeus can. That's just like putting fuel on a fire when you get a couple of great stalk blocks like that, isn't it?
Well, you know the thing about it, Coach, is
It creates lanes.
well, I tell them all the time, I play wide receiver, so any kind of big plays that happen in the run game on the field, they are usually a direct result of the wide receivers blocking down.
Amen.
Because they're blocking the last line of defense. So if they block those guys, if the offensive line has done their job and then they do their job, boom, big run, big play by
Big run, big play.
That's where it starts. So I think they understand that.
Jackson, do you play basketball?
Yeah, I play basketball.
Okay. Just wondered. How long have you played football?
This is my 5th year, I think.
Okay. Well, we're blessed. You're blessed to have guys that have the talents with their hands, but when they also have height. And as you said earlier, you got guys going up over people for the balls, and there's some artwork, if you will, in playing these skill positions.
It is. I mean, first of all, you got to have the skill, but when you're about 6'3", you got a chance. Oh, excuse me.
Can't teach that.
6'5".
6'5". He corrected us real quick on that, didn't he?
6'5". That gives you an opportunity to make more plays. And that's what we're trying to get Jackson to understand is, hey man, you're a big, strong country kid.
Yeah.
Like he's a strong kid.
Yeah.
Use your size, use your strength, and start using it to your advantage, and do it all with confidence. And you have a chance to see how far you can go with either football or basketball.
Amen.
There's opportunities out there.
Amen.
But ask him how much varsity experience he had in football.
Not a lot.
That's my point.
Yeah. Last year you just couldn't get any clock time, could you?
No.
Yeah. Wow. Different world now, brother.
Yeah.
You're in. You're in the fire, line of fire. Favorite part of the game? What's your favorite part of football?
Pancake in the corners. I already said that, I guess.
Okay. All right. Roll them. Okay. Well, Jackson Perry, appreciate everything that you and your group do. I'm telling you, we've seen some fantastic catches, fantastic blocks that spring our running backs and get them free. But you want to give a shout out to anyone this morning?
My mom.
And who's your mom?
Jan Robin.
Jan Robin?
Yep.
All right. Well, shout out to her. Huh?
I knew that was coming.
Amen. Jackson Perry, pleasure to have you on the air. Let's pass that down to, you might want to switch chairs and bring number 57, Kingston Mays, the first man here this morning after I arrived. And, Coach, he had that big smile going on. And I didn't listen to the ball game because I was working last night. But 2:04 left in the first. He picks the ball up or steals the ball away from somebody and runs it 36 yards for a touchdown. How much fun was that?
It was fun.
Bring that mic closer. I want people to hear you. Did you really rip the ball out of his hands?
Nah, Caden Simro hit it up, and I caught it.
Okay.
And the first thing I thought was just touchdown.
Giddy up.
I had to get that touchdown. It was right there.
What did it feel like when he crossed that line?
Oh, I was so happy.
I asked him if he did answer anything or spike the ball, and he didn't, Coach. He just, yeah.
He just jumped around with his teammates.
Awesome.
They all had a good time.
That's a great feeling.
It's not often
that a defensive lineman scores a touchdown. Now, we've had one defensive lineman have 3 opportunities to score touchdowns, and he got his opportunity. He's the first defensive lineman to capitalize on it. So I know he's excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's your favorite part of the game?
Beating O lineman off the ball.
Okay, so you're just a defensive-minded person, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, again, I commended your efforts earlier to you, but Coach, this guy I thought had a heck of a game defensively up at Pulaski Southwestern. I watched him fighting through. I mean, they were double teaming him, and so he's earned some respect out there already.
Well, he's getting tougher. I mean, there's some stuff going on with him that, I mean, nothing negative.
Right.
But there's some stuff going on, and he's out there playing.
That's awesome.
As a result of that, I think that is improving his mindset of mental and physical toughness, and it's showing out on the field because he's starting to make more plays. He's got the ability to make them, and now he's starting to do it a little bit more. And the better he feels, the more mentally tough he feels, the tougher he is out on the football field. So he's doing a good job.
I see you. A lot of hand-to-hand combat kind of stuff going on, and I see you spinning out of blocks and things like that. You're constantly just trying to smell and find that football, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
What's it like when you get that big solo tackle or when you get a tackle for loss, that TFL?
Oh, it's so nice. I get right back up and scream, you know. gotta get the defense hype, you know.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, every defensive unit needs a guy like you that's kind of a spark, you know. It's a tough job, and what are the rewards? The rewards are those tackles, those sacks, those TFLs, and get it.
Yes,
get
sir.
it. You're looking at an old nose guard and a 5-man front. Me, that's right. 153 maybe soaking wet, okay. I was a little heavier than that, but I love playing defense. I just love sacking that quarterback. That was my thing. That's what I always wanted to do. And now it's a lot tougher because that guy's already back there. He's 4.5 yards deep, and it's harder to get to them now than it used to be when they were under center and going through a 3, 5, or 7-step drop.
Definitely. You got to be a lot.
So you're constantly fighting, and you're getting shoved to the outside, and you're trying to get back in and get up in that pocket before he gets up in that eye of the column, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Got counters. There's a lot to it that people don't realize. When your guy goes away, what do? You get in his hip pocket.
Yes, sir.
But good stuff. Well, let's see how we're doing on time here. What's been... When did you know that you really wanted to be a defensive guy?
Coach just put me down there, and I loved it ever since.
Okay. All right. So who's your position coach?
Coach Short. He just came on this.
Tyus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a pretty darn good career down at K-State.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the thoroughbreds down there. Well, you want to give a shout-out to anybody before we take our break and come back and talk to these other 2 young men that are here?
I got to give it to Coach Short for helping me through this whole year, getting me better.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, you all collectively are a fine group of young men, and I thank you for coming. I thank you for being down here, and we're going to take another 3-minute break. We're live from the old bus station. This is Breakfast with the Coaches. We'll talk to you in 3 minutes.
Big deals. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hi, Jenny here. Just counting all the dollars I saved at my local Big Deals online store. What? You haven't saved yet? Get on it. You'll love the great selection of gift certificates at discount prices. They make great gifts, too. And you can shop right from your phone. Nothing satisfies like counting all those savings. Now let me get back to it. 6, 7, 8.
Go to hometownlive.net to shop and save at the Big Deals online store. You can also find links to download the free Big Deals Media app for your phone. Works on Apple and Android cells. Shop quickly and access all your mobile Big Deal certificates easily for redemption. You can also easily send a mobile certificate to someone else to use via email. Check it out and join the thousands that save with Big Deal certificates to local businesses.
Shop and save with Big Deals at hometownlive.net. That's hometownlive.net.
Do you own a business? If so, save money and time with Farmers National Bank's free business checking. You receive 1,000 free monthly transaction items, free online banking, free bill pay, free e-statements. Plus, you get a free gift at account opening. Call us at 866-888-0220 or stop into one of our convenient locations for assistance. Farmers National Bank, your lifetime bank. $50 minimum deposit at account opening. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Congratulations, you're having a little girl.
At that moment, everything changed. Our hopes and dreams for ourselves were instantly replaced by our hopes and dreams for her. We got life insurance policies from Shelter Insurance, so that regardless of what life throws at us, we'll still be able to provide the world to her.
Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
I'm Jamie Dunn, your local Shelter Insurance agent. We're your shield, we're your shelter.
We're halfway through the football season. It's the Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, live from the Harrodsburg Pizza Hut Monday nights from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR and WHBN. We talk live with all the area high school football coaches of Danville, Boyle County, Lincoln County, Garrett County, and Mercer County, as well as reports from Center College head coach Andy Fry and UK head football coach. The Pizza Hut Pigskin Report, Mondays from 6 o'clock until 7 on WHIR, WHBN, and HometownLive.net.
As a business owner, you carry the weight of your company on your shoulders and know that time is money. Let 101 lift some of that weight by ordering your office supplies, keeping your printers printing, and managing your supply closet, all at no cost. 101 is ready to go to work for you. Call them and get an appointment with one of their consultants. Visit them on the web at come101.com. That's come101.com, or call them at 734-3536, or visit them at the Harrodsburg Herald.
Good midway point. Good morning and welcome back. This is Dan Yates. I'm your host. Breakfast with the Coaches. We are live from the old bus station in downtown Harrodsburg. And Coach Yeast, you never know what's going to walk in the door. Now, this has happened to be multiple times, but former Harrodsburg quarterback took his team to the 1996. 1996 state championship versus Beechwood. Charlie Holiday, welcome to Breakfast with the Coaches.
Good morning.
Where in the cornbread have you been, man?
You know, here and there.
Here and there.
Yeah.
Coach, he went out, he got this great education, took off on a job, and just never came back.
Hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
He's here now.
You guys have something in common, both UK grads, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Something like that.
Awesome. Awesome. Got football in common. Got successful football teams in common.
I believe that Charlie might have threw me a couple passes in high school. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, I think I caught more passes that you threw to me.
Charlie, I know you've had a lot going on, but just give us a brief update. What's been going on with you?
Oh, not much. Just working, providing for the family, and doing some traveling. So,
Okay. And who do you work for?
I work for Ashland Incorporated. I've been with them for about 22 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Charlie, I know you have children now. This maturation process we go through, football was such a great vehicle for a lot of our people under the direction of Alvis Johnson, and just it's unexplainable. But I know that you were blessed to be around a lot of great teammates and directed your football team through some tough battles to get us all the way to the big green run down in Louisville, we called it.
Yeah.
At the state championship. But, and that game was, I still have the 8.5 by 11 glossy. Quite a football game. We had some fantastic players, and I still remember the overtime and how that shook out and so forth. But what's your favorite memory of that football game?
That football game was...
this is a game against Beechwood.
Yeah, it was my thing that stuck out in my mind was how it started. It was a rough start.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody was a little nervous. Everybody growing up always wanted to play on that AstroTurf, but that field had concrete directly under the AstroTurf, and it was not as exciting as you thought it was growing up as a kid.
Exactly.
And it hurt when you got hit. But I think the thing that I think about the most about that game is how we started off and pulled things together as the game came along.
Yeah.
And got more comfortable, and really put on a good showing, and I think that game is not what I think about the most when I think about high school football. I think about those 4 years coming up and all the relationships that I developed throughout those years and the people that I got to meet. And small town football, man, most of the people played both sides of the ball,
Exactly.
And it was fun.
Exactly.
I talk about that to some that I meet along the way. They went to high school that had, tons and tons of people on the team.
2 platooned everywhere, had 2 kickers, 2 holders.
We used to get off the bus with 28 to 32 and go play a 6A school, and they'd have 100 players, and we smack them.
Right,
and we never came off the field. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
They don't understand that.
And it was fun. But even all the guys on the team, we have 25, 28 people on the team. Everybody that played on that team, all the days of practice and things like that. And it was growing up with that experience, to me, has kind of helped push me through a lot of difficult things in my life. And I'm very, very grateful for all the coaches and teammates that I had through that entire experience.
I just remember the journey and how rewarding it was for you all, because it wasn't the state championship game in itself, getting to walk out there in front of 10, 11,000 people, but the journey that you all took and the path that you took to get there. I mean, the battles with Mayfield and Murray, just the struggles. I know that Craig's senior year, if I'm not mistaken, we lost to Murray at home, and how painful that was. And I remember the meeting we had after that with Coach Johnson brought our staff in, and we were crushed. We were crushed because we saw so much passion. And could we ever get back? Well, of course we would. And Albus Johnson, the way he was, we started the very next day. We didn't wait a week. We didn't take a month off. We started the next day because we had to get you guys ready. It was a different skill set, a different package. We didn't have a Craig Easton quarter. We didn't have this running back, didn't have this defensive lineman. And that was the smartest thing I think I've ever seen anybody do was the way Albus Johnson approached it and handled your group. And we start this journey. And before you know it, starting with Craig's junior year, when we're getting to play an extra game, an extra 2 games, an extra 3 games, you get that deep in the playoffs, that's like having spring practice. That's an extension of your season. There was a point at which we had an extra season crammed into those 5 years based on the number of playoff games we've had. Yep. And but I never will forget the journey that you guys had, and just how proud we were of you guys. It's not necessarily the outcome, even though you want to win, but it's the way and the manner and how you reacted to things along that pathway. Yep. But like you said, it blends itself over into life, and you use those.
One of my favorite games in my high school career that I remember, and I think it was the game that led up to that Mayfield game your senior year, was that Bardstown game in Harrodsburg, and how we came back that fourth quarter.
That was amazing.
Never die.
Never die.
And that was
never out.
That was awesome, because we were like, the crowd was dead, everybody was leaving. It's like, this is over. We're down by like 28 points.
They all came rushing back in.
Charlie Holliday, we're going to get 2 more guys on the air. Next time you're in town, you stop down by here, and we're going to talk some more with you and Coach Yeast and so forth. But proud of everything you stood for during your journey through this program as well. And
thanks for having me.
Shout out to Ty over here wearing that UK champ hat. I'm loving that, Ty. He's such a part of our football program as well, and we could just go on forever, but appreciate you guys.
When I heard that this gentleman was back in town, the community is super blessed to have Craig back in town.
They surely are. They truly are. Charlie Holliday, appreciate it, babe. All right, we're going to roll the phones over here to number 4, Ashton Drakeford. I mean, give a shout out to your brother this morning. First things first, Eastern Illinois. Great football player. I see so many of the same characteristics with number 4 here, Coach. Just athletic.
Well, the thing I talk to Ashton about is you got so much talent, but you don't have any idea what to do with it. So I'm just really trying to work with him as much as possible. Sometimes I get on him, and it's tough.
Yeah, you lit him up at the scrimmage I came to, Coach.
Come on, son. I need you to. Like, I try to take as many different approaches I can with him. He's got a chance to be as good as he wants to be. So I got a plan for him. I don't know if he's got the same plan, but hopefully at some point we all sit down and put a plan in action, because I think he's got opportunity as far as.
Ashton, do you realize that your parents, I mean, they could be like the most athletic couple, of their decade here in this community. I mean, just great people as well. Your grandpa, Dick Strayton, he's a tough fullback over at Eastern Kentucky University. But enough of us talking about you all. Let's let you all talk. What's your favorite part of the game, son?
Just the atmosphere. I've been to many high school football games, and playing at AJ is just the best.
Yeah. He's a freshman. What's it like to be out there? You and Carter Devine, number 11, you're getting so much clock time. Do you realize the value of that and what it's going to mean here in a couple of years?
Yep, it's exciting. I'm just more excited for these next few years, really.
And if it weren't for 74, Elijah Buford, who's our only senior here this morning, 22, Griffith is a junior, Jackson Perry's a junior, Kingston Mays is a junior, and here you are, and Caden Devine. Coach, these young men, like we talked about, your upperclassmen don't have a lot of experience because of the seniors that played in front of them and so forth, but these young men, these guys that are getting freshman experience, invaluable.
I mean, we don't have a lot of depth, but at the same time, every now and again you got a couple kids that you just, all right.
Yeah. These.
Bring him along slow, throw him in the fire, give him some stern words from time to time, tell him how good he is, correct him on his mistakes, great job, and then, wow, son, what are you doing? Oh, great job! And you just take those lumps, and he's one of those young men. You just got to put him in, you got to let him play.
Awesome.
The plays better he's going to get.
Well, Ashton, it's a pleasure to watch you play. I've watched you even in the scrimmage, and you just do some great things, especially away from the ball. And I think that's really a part of your large value. You're a team player, you're an athlete, and you got a brilliant future in front of you. You want to give a shout out to anybody this morning?
My parents definitely watching.
And who are they?
Jimmy Drakeford and Chrissy Drakeford.
There you go. Call them by name. Yeah, well, I know they're proud of you, and I know your entire family is as well. And the best of luck to your brother. Has an injury, but will be back soon. A great athlete, but again.
Is AK Anna Kate. She's the best one. She's better than both of them.
Amazing family. He understands. He's shaking his head, right? All right, Ashton Drakeford, number 4. Pass that headset down to number 74, Elijah Buford. Coach, now I gotta go somewhere with this, okay? I look out there at halftime of the homecoming game. Big 74 is coming over, walking some female across the way. Winds up putting on a crown, becoming homecoming king. How do you transition from football player, defensive, rough, tough, all this stuff, and then you got to stand there on, big grin and a crown on? I couldn't process it, Coach.
Do you remember a guy that played corner for us named Fremont Mays?
Yes.
Yes. Play in a band. That's how you become the homecoming king.
I got a confession to make.
And I want to go out on a limb and say I feel like you did the same thing.
I did.
Okay.
Up until I was a freshman only, because I'll tell you what, you've done a lot of things for this program, but especially you've helped to create an atmosphere, and I got it. Once I got over it, okay, I was really cool with it because it really brought things back into perspective. It is about the joyful experience of going through school, having success on and off the field, and all of the pageantry associated with it. But, yeah, it was a cool moment, and I know it was for you. What was that like? I mean, because you were obviously elected by your peers, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, tell me more about that. 74, you got the mic. You talk.
I don't know how to put it in words. It's like when I'm on the football field, it's just different.
Yeah.
And when I'm off the field, I'm just calm, cool, and collective.
Okay. I know you've come a long way just this year. We've been watching you since week 1. And we got this rooster saying I got about 30 seconds left. But what's your favorite part of the game?
Probably pancaking kids.
All right. Elijah Buford, you're in there in the tough zone, tackle to tackle, where it gets real quick, and it's just a joy to watch you guys do what you do. But anybody you want to give a shout out to this morning?
My coaches and my parents.
Okay, and who are your parents?
Katrina and Arnaz Buford.
They should be proud.
He's the little one of the whole bunch.
Really? Are you recruiting?
Yeah. I want you to understand.
that this is a young man that went from about 330, 340 pounds to by the time we started this season, he was down to about 280. That's how hard he worked.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, he's got the best head of hair here in the crowd this morning. I do know that. They're beautiful. Huh? Yeah, they do. Huh? Well, it's been a pleasure. I've been here this morning with 74 Elijah Buford, 4 Ashton Drakeford, 57 Kingston Mays, Jackson Perry number 8, and 22 Denham Griffith. Coach, it's been a great week. Again, congratulations on the 56-6 victory last night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dan Yates, Breakfast with the Coaches. We'll see you right here 9 o'clock next Saturday, 99.5 FM. Thank you. Have a great week. Go
It's brought to you by the Old Bus Station Restaurant, the Big Deals online store at hometownlive.net. Save 20 to 50% with every single purchase. 101 Business Solutions, Jamie Dunn Shelter Insurance, and Farmers National Bank. Join us next week at the same time for Breakfast with the Mercer County football coaches and players every Saturday morning live at the Old Bus Station Restaurant on South Greenville Street and live 9 to 10 on AM 1420 WHBN Harrisburg the Rooster, your community voice since 1955.
NBC News Radio, I'm Scott Carr. Those living in the 9 Florida counties that took the hardest hits when Hurricane Ian hammered the Gulf Coast can now apply for disaster relief funds through FEMA. In addition to home repairs and lost property, the federal relief money may also cover temporary housing, medical bills, moving and storage, funerals, and other expenses caused by the deadly storm. The death toll in Florida from Ian is now up to at least 33, though hundreds remain unaccounted for, and conservatively over $10 billion worth in damage has been done. More than 1 million Floridians are still without power. People in South Carolina have been waking up to the devastation caused by Ian, which made landfall near the city of Georgetown Friday as a Category 1 hurricane. At least 60,000 are still without power in that state. Jim Forbes has reaction from lawmakers.
Ian reformed into a hurricane over the Atlantic Ocean after leaving a devastating path in Florida. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina shared a message with the people of his state.
This could be a couple of days before we really realize how much damage can be done here. The flooding is terrible, a lot of property damage. Get off the roads, power lines down, you get electrocuted. Let's kind of ride this thing out.
The Virginia National Guard is now mobilized to respond to emergency related to the storm there. The National Hurricane Center says Ian is expected to produce up to 4 inches of rain from the Appalachians to the coast. 3 people are hospitalized after a shooting at a high school football game in upstate New York. That happened last night in Newburgh in a parking lot following the game between Warwick High and Newburgh Free Academy. Police say a fight broke out and several shots were fired. 2 women and a man were all shot in the lower body. No arrests have been made. While a shooting at a high school homecoming football game left 1 teenager dead in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Police say a suspect is still at large after that shooting last night at McLean High School. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
Your annual homecoming tailgate party was a rousing success. You caught up with your weird cousin Phil. You and your buddy Dave were crowned cornhole champions. Your famous potato salad drew rave reviews. The home team even won. But the best part was what didn't happen. You didn't drive home buzzed. You got a ride home from your cousin Phil, who may be weird, but also definitely sober. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
I grow corn and beans, and I raise cattle. What I do is good for people, good for Kentucky. And what I don't do is good for the environment. I don't let fertilizer, chemicals, manure, or good farmland run off into the creek. And you know what? Turns out that also makes me more productive and more efficient. If you're a farmer, develop an ag water quality plan. It's never been easier. Go to eec.ky.gov/agwater to find out how.
North Korea has fired a 4th round of ballistic missiles this week. South Korean and Japanese officials say that 2 short-range missiles were launched out of North Korea into the waters off of its east coast, the launch coming just 1 day after the U.S., Japan, and South Korea held a joint anti-submarine naval exercise. A sailor in San Diego accused of destroying a billion-dollar warship has been found not guilty. Lucinda Kay reports.
After the verdict, 21-year-old Ryan Mays tells reporters he's relieved after the toughest phase of his life.
Grateful that this is
finally over. It's been a long 2 years. I could say that the past 2 years have been the hardest 2 years of my entire life as a young man. I've lost friends, I've lost time with family, and my entire Navy career was ruined.
Prosecutors accused then 19-year-old Mays of starting the fire because he didn't make it as a Navy SEAL. The defense says investigators didn't follow the evidence. The billion-dollar ship, the USS Bonhomme Richard, burned for 4 days and has since been decommissioned and scrapped. The Navy judge acquitted Mays after a 9-day trial at Naval Base San Diego. I'm Lucinda Kay.
Bristol, Rhode Island is the safest college town in America. That's according to SafeWise, an independent review site that tracks national crime and safety trends. They say their crunch of FBI data shows the home of Roger Williams University can brag of a violent crime rate of 0.23 per 1,000 residents and a property crime rate of 3.17. Jimmy Carter is celebrating his 98th birthday today. The former president and wife Rosalind are expected to spend the day celebrating at their family home in Plains, Georgia. The Carter Center is inviting well-wishers to send birthday greetings and photos to them at cartercenter.org. Also in celebration, 98 people will become American citizens today at the Carter Library and Museum. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
This is a Hometown Radio Network information update. The Boyle County Fiscal Court has rejoined in a partnership with the organization that was once known as the Economic Development Partnership. The Boyle County Fiscal Court withdrew from the Economic Development Partnership earlier this year after magistrates became concerned with the organization's progress. However, the EDP restructured to the EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation, and made structural changes, like shrinking its board from nearly 20 members down to 9. The court discussed and ultimately voted to join in on the EDC and its partnership, with Magistrate Jason Cullen serving as the Boyle County Fiscal Court representative on that board. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has announced a new website to help people who are suffering from drug addiction and substance abuse find housing. The partnership is between the Recovery Housing Network and the Kentucky Injury Prevention and Research Center. That website is findrecoveryhousingnowky.org. I'm Joe Mathis.
Here's Robin at the Mercer County Public Library.
We are right here at 109 West Lexington Street. Come and visit us Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Be sure and give us a call, 859-734-3680. And if you want to quickly get to a staff member, press 2. Copies, we've reduced the price on that. Any size paper you have, whether it's black and white or whether it's color, it's 10 cents per side.
At the Mercer County Public Library. Almost every small Kentucky town has a go-to restaurant. In Central Kentucky, it's the Bread of Life Cafe in Liberty. If you like a good buffet, you'll love the huge down-home cooking featuring 2 fully stocked buffet tables, or you can order off their extensive menu. You'll find something delicious for every person in the family at the Bread of Life Cafe. Visit the Gift and Sweet Shop at the Bread of Life Cafe, 5 miles south of Liberty on 127. Open till 8, Monday through Thursday, 9 Friday and Saturday. Feed your tummy and your soul at the Bread of Life Cafe and Buffet.
Whitaker Bank is dedicated to providing exceptional banking experiences to our fellow Kentuckians. We live in the communities we serve, and we work diligently to serve the needs of our neighbors. This is Rita McIntyre, head teller and branch manager of the South Branch located at 928 South College Street in Harrodsburg. Stop in and let us put our experience and customer service to work for you. Whitaker Bank is uniquely Kentucky, member FDIC.
Hey friends, it's Radio Rick, inviting you to join me weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on WHBN. You'll hear local, state, and national news, local birthdays, weather, sports, comedic relief, free daily prizes, interviews with community leaders, elected officials, local businesses, and you're always welcome to call. Oh, and don't forget, we play the best country music in Central Kentucky, the classics. My promise to you is keep you informed and entertained the best I know how as we start our weekday mornings together 6 to 10 with me, Radio Rick, on AM 1420, FM 99.5, and stream live at hometownlive.net.
It's 10:08.
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Silver Star Gun and Ammo in Harrodsburg. They buy, sell, or trade. Silver Star Gun and Ammo in Harrodsburg, across from the Mercer County Library on Lexington Street.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62. 30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70.
It's 51 degrees.
The Personal Effects Show, a program that encourages listeners to understand antiques, collectibles, and sometimes just plain junk. The Personal Effects Show airs each Saturday morning on WHBN FM 99.5 and AM 1420 after the 10 o'clock news with Jerry Sampson, your host, who interviews collectors, dealers, experts, and others. The Personal Effects Show is sponsored by the James Harrod Trust, Bluegrass Artworks, and J. Sampson Antiques and Books.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Personal Effects, the Antique Show. I'm your host, Jerry Sampson, the guy that's leading you through the world of antiques, collectibles, decorative arts, and books. And good morning, Jan.
Good morning, Jerry.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me feel happy, and will also turn you purple.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, that is if you're made of glass.
Or other colors.
Or other colors. It will actually make you turn different colors. I mean, we're going to talk about colored glass, but I think we want to be able to open up and talk about sun-colored glass.
Yes.
And that's going to lead...
Or sun-altered glass.
That's right. Or purple glass, as some people will very rudimentarily call it. They'll say, oh, purple glass. I like purple glass. But, it's a very natural thing, isn't it? I mean, it's something that the glass... Which one do you want to talk about first? Because they both kind of come from the same place. Where do you want to start with this?
Let me tell you what got me questioning you about this and what kind of brought this whole topic up.
All right.
During the 127 yard sale, I saw an enormous display of gorgeous purple glass. And purple being my favorite color, of course, I was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. And the guy fed me this long tale about... purple glass was made with a certain mineral, and it had to be pre-World War I, and otherwise it wasn't authentic. And he went on and on and on. And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, I don't believe I've ever seen glass that color before. It was violet. It was vivid. It was royal purple.
Yeah.
And the glass that I'm familiar with that comes sort of kind of under the heading of purple is more of an amethyst color. It has more of a red tone to it.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a little hunting around, and I asked my good friend Jerry, and we got into this discussion and found all sorts of interesting things, including that it can be faked.
Yes, it can.
And that's what kind of one of the things we're going to talk about.
And that's kind of how I did some of my research on this, was because of how people, not so much as faked, but they can accelerate.
Yeah, or intensify.
They can intensify. We also talked about while we was out in the hallway waiting to come in of how you can reverse this. I don't believe that's true. I mean,
I don't think
we'll
you can
get back
do
to everyone
yeah.
on that. If you can actually reverse your sun-colored glass, and why would you want to reverse it anyway?
Exactly. Well, if it's something that's worth a whole lot of money, like specifically this particular...
Well, a piece of Steuben, or something that's very artistic or very, very expensive, like Jan said. But, I know that you all are familiar with sun-colored glass. I mean, there was a big collector's thing about it, several years ago that they would collect it. You see a lot of bottles. You'd see insulators, telephone pole insulators, they've turned color. Well, they started out as this whitish glass that through exposure to the sunlight, which is the UV rays, that it alters that glass, and different types of glass can be altered. And the reason for that is, like Jan said, because of the oxides that have been added to the glass to either give it a basic color or the absence of a color.
Yeah, to clarify it.
To clarify those things, change. Now, the one thing that we're talking about, if you're talking about anything in the violet, the pale purple, even the amethyst, depending on how long it really sits there, you're talking about an oxide, you're talking about manganese oxide that's been added to the glass. And you say, well, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Well, I guarantee that you've seen it in some shape or fashion, and I bet a lot of you listeners probably have driven by that maybe once or twice a day, if not once or twice a week. If you drive by the Lincoln Memorial Cabin, the little church there at Old Fort Harrod.
In Harrodsburg.
Right there, in Old Fort Harrod State Park, you drive by, glance at the windows sometime. Now, that building is a circa 1934, 35. It was a WPA project, so we know it was sometime in the 30s. But if you look at that building, you'll see these beautiful, stained glass windows in there. Well, guess what? They didn't start out as stained glass. They started out as clear glass that has morphed into this somewhat very deep purple, violet, limey green kind of color. And the reason for that was because different manufacturers manufactured this supposedly, clear glass They installed it, and then through, decades upon decades of sunlight shining through the windows, it has turned it. You don't see that in today's modern glass. You don't see that. But, that's something that someone can pay attention to. When you see that, you'll know, hey, that's sun-colored glass. And, it's pretty intense if you've never seen it.
I thought it was intended to be that way. Nope. After you told me that, I immediately drove over there and got out and walked around the marriage temple because I was curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating. So why don't you all go over there right now and we'll sit here and wait.
Yeah, we'll wait for you.
We'll wait for you. We'll wait right here for you. But, every glass has something added to it to make it have a color. And, a lot of people don't realize that. I think, people are very, we've got to develop a whole show, or maybe we could even make a series on that, a whole series on color. And, it really gets down to the fact that you've got to add, minerals or oxides or different elements to glass to get color. You just don't, if it was...
You just don't paint it on.
You just don't paint it on, and
you can, but
if you want a solid, transparent glass,
that's the difference.
Transparent is something you see through. If you want that glass, you've got to be able to have something that you add to that glass. And there was you did some really good research. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so you did some really good stuff. But one of the things that you add that we talked about earlier to get red glass is gold oxide, and then you found one for cranberry. What was that you said for cranberry?
It's gold salts.
Gold salts. I'm not sure what that is. I'll post it up on Facebook, and we'll get to the bottom of that.
Looked it up, and it's gold with other stuff added to it.
And depending on how much of this that you add, that determines the shade that you get. So if you want just a very pale pink color, you may just add less of this gold salts or this gold oxide. Now, if you want a really darker color, you're going to have to add more. That's like blue. You think of blue, you automatically think of a cobalt blue, a very dark, inky blue. Well, you're adding cobalt oxide. That's how you get that. Green is derived from iron oxide. What was the brown? There was brown. Brown was a mixture of iron oxide, and there was something else in there.
Looking, I've got all these papers here. I can't lay my hands on brown right off, but for instance, red is leaded uranium.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Keep talking, Jerry. Okay. I'll hunt for this.
But the thing that I think is amazing, when you look at we know the basic composition of glass. It is silica or sand, potash, and lime. That is basic glass. So if you add something else into that mixture, you're going to have something else entirely new. So what amazes me is to think of someone that's in 14th century Germany or somewhere, and they're experimenting over and over again, and suddenly they add just the right thing to a gather of glass or to a pot of glass, and they suddenly have, oh, look at this, I've got cobalt blue glass. Can you imagine the excitement that they had when they discovered
magic?
Alchemy.
It
was just magic. But you're right, it's alchemy. Folks, it's all about chemistry, and that's what, when you talk about the world of colors, so much of it is chemistry. You may be even using natural materials or natural minerals, but it all depends on what those minerals are made of and what they're going into. And when you've got the chemical reaction, it's chemistry.
Yeah.
And thereby you get magic.
Okay, here we go. Here's just some little things. Clear glass, when it's referred to as lead crystal, it indicates lead oxide was added to the glass. Now under certain conditions, the lead oxide, like radioactivity, ultraviolet, which is sunlight, it will change color.
Yeah.
And depending on the amount, it might go to green, it might go to yellow.
And you might say, well, why would people add lead to the glass? Well, it would make it clearer. They would make it very clear and durable. That's what gives lead crystal that ring. That's why it has that high quality, little ding when you touch it. Clank on the side of a jelly jar, and then click on a piece of cut glass or a piece of Steuben, and you're going to see the vast difference right there of why people add lead.
What about flint glass?
I'm familiar with flint glass, but I'm not sure what they add.
Made through the early 1900s, and they actually used flint in it. Now, flint is a very glassy substance. Think about, flint knives that the Mayas used.
Yeah.
Okay, blue glass, cobalt blue.
Yeah.
adding cobalt oxide, again, there's that oxide, to a molten glass mixture of sand, potash, and lime, as we talked about. And the more you add, the deeper the color becomes. Amethyst glass, which we're all familiar with. Now, that's sometimes called purple, but amethyst really has more of a red tinge to it.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, not violet. Manganese oxide, there's that oxide again. And it shouldn't be confused, as here we go, with the one the clear glass that's changed color due to sun exposure.
They are different.
Olive green, or any kind of green. Again, iron oxide.
Yeah.
But varying shades achieved by lowering the amount of iron oxide rather than increasing it.
So if you've got less of it, you're going to get a very watery kind of pea green, or and that's what some of the windows at the Lincoln Marriage Temple. That's what you're going to see is a very watery kind of minty green kind of color. So that means that they used less of this iron oxide.
And you definitely shouldn't confuse that with green depression glass, which contains uranium oxide, and it's sometimes called Vaseline glass.
Yeah.
And that's a topic we'd love to talk about at some point, too.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, here's brown glass. Iron and sulfur oxide.
Okay. Sulfur.
Added to the molten glass, And then there's red glass, or ruby, as I've heard it called. There's where we get the gold oxide coming in. So, just think about what you've seen when you've gone to a cathedral and you've seen these incredible stained glass windows. And some of those cathedrals were built, 1,000, 2,000 years ago to get that kind of glass. The Romans did a lot of fabulous colored glass, but not much of it survives.
And a lot of the Roman glass that we see that we think has got this beautiful rainbow kind of color on it. They didn't see the rainbow color on there. That came, millennia later, because it had been buried and it had been subjected to heat, to pressure, to minerals that were in surrounding rocks or sand, and that came later. So that just kind of sank onto the glass and became part of it, which was the inspiration for Louis Comfort Tiffany and his real glass. Yes,
I've seen that glass.
That Roman glass that you see that's got that rainbow iridescence to it.
That's what inspired Tiffany.
That's what inspired Tiffany, Lutz, so many of those Art Nouveau glass makers.
Yeah, because some of their glass is not a single color. It's iridescent almost.
You may have gold and purple kind of an iridescence, but that's what inspired him, was that Roman and that Greek glass. Jan, I'm getting ready to take a break here in just a second. You going to hang around with me for a few more minutes?
I believe I can.
Everyone, be sure to listen to the sponsors and come back in just a few minutes, because Jan and I are talking all about colored glass today. So y'all hang in there, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Historic Main Street comes alive September 30th through October 2nd with Kentucky's largest Oktoberfest. It's bigger than ever with double the stages at this year's Oktoberfest in Harrodsburg, where you can catch 3 days of live concerts with everything from 80s hits, reggae, rock to soul, funk, and bluegrass. Indulge in over 20 beers on tap, local food, crafts, and Kinderland, a free family-friendly inflatable park. Admission is free. Visit OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com for full details. That's OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com.
Most unhappy collectors collect things that they don't like because they hope that one day it'll be worth a lot of money. J. Sampson Antiques Books and Appraisals will let you know what you've got and really what it's worth. Don't worry about what someone else collects. Collect what you love, and one day if it's worth a lot of money, that's great. If not, you still have something that makes you happy. Visit J. Sampson Antiques Books and Appraisals next to Lawson's Jewelry at Main Street in Harrodsburg. They're open Monday through Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 1:30 to 5, and closed on Wednesday. That's J. Sampson Antiques Books and Appraisals.
The hometown place where all the locals eat is the old bus station in downtown Harrisburg. The fresh veggies and sides, the famous banana soft serve ice cream, all make it a great place to eat with family and friends. Stop in for breakfast or come by for lunch. Be sure to get a Titan burger or a Bulldog burger. And when the weather is nice, enjoy a meal on the outdoor patio. Specials every day. Call ahead for carryout. Located in Harrisburg on South Greenville Street, the old bus station restaurant, open Tuesday through Saturday 7 to 2. The old bus station in downtown Harrisburg.
Get your copy of James Hurd Trust's The Men of Mercer County today. The book is a compilation of stories about men who have lived in Mercer County, written by the people who loved them. The stories are rich in the history and heritage of the community and the people who have lived there. Available at J. Sampson's Antiques and Books, Beaumont Inn, and the Harrodsburg Herald, it sells for $35. Only 450 copies were printed, so get yours today before they're all gone.
Let Bluegrass Artworks help bring out your creative side of decorating your business or home. You'll discover a fine selection of antiques, coins, silver, oriental rugs, jewelry, and pens. Make beautiful music with musical instruments like banjos, guitars, and more. Bluegrass Artworks is open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday 10 till 5. Bluegrass Artworks is located at 103 South Main Street. For more information or questions about Bluegrass Artworks, call 859-806-1038. Stop and shop the showroom today at Bluegrass Artworks. Local high school football and Hometown Radio Network.
This is Gary True, voice of the Mercer County Football Titans. Listen to every game on WHBN.
This is Scott Boland, voice of the Garrett County Golden Lions. Hear the games on Z105.
This is Joe Mathis, voice of the Danville Football Admirals. Listen to every Admiral game on AM 1230 WHIR.
This is Steve Bertram inviting you to join us for Boyle County High School football on Z105.
All games streamed live at hometownlive.net. Need a rapid test for COVID-19, strep, or flu? Come to Real Health Primary Care in Danville. Walk-ins are welcome. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 in the Southland Plaza, 975 Houstonville Road. Same-day appointments. Call 209-2331. 209-2331.
It's 10:24.
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Coel Collision Center in Danville on Lebanon Road. After a wreck, tell the tow truck driver to take your vehicle to the experts. Coel Collision Center.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62. 30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70. It's 51 degrees.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Personal Effects, the Antique Show. I'm here in the studio with Jan Gentleman. We've been talking all about colored glass. So, Jan, what pressing thing was on your mind that you wanted me to make sure we talked about when we come back from break?
Well, a couple of things. Just in my family, we seem to have a thing about glass. It never really affected me the way it did some of my relatives, but my grandmother had a lot of cranberry glass, and she had like a, what do you call those sets, Jerry, that have the vinegar cruet and the...
That's a cruet set.
A cruet set.
Duh.
Yeah, duh. The glass was red on the outside, but it had facets cut into it. Mm-hmm. And if you looked into one of them, it created a kaleidoscope effect, and I was fascinated with that as a child. Now, is that color painted on, since the facets are cut out and they're clear glass?
That is a good question, because that actually comes up with two different answers right there. There's a such thing as, let's stick with the cranberry. There's a such thing as cranberry cut to clear. And when you deal with a cut glass, you know it starts out as a blank piece. So I'm holding a plastic, fairly clear water bottle in my hand. So that would be one layer. That would be your base. You would then take that same piece of glass and you would take that and you would put another gather of glass over top of it. So you would use your cranberry, your cobalt blue, you would put a yellow. So you have a sandwich. You're creating a sandwich effect. So when that is cool, you would then take that piece and then you would cut it. So imagine you're cutting through this layer cake, you're cutting through this sandwich, and you're revealing layers underneath. And that's what you're seeing. It being cut through that cranberry glass down to the clear layer, and that's what you would see. Now there's also a such thing as ruby flashed, and sometimes you'll see that on pieces like that, but more often than not it's more solid pieces, and they take an inexpensive piece of glassware and they flash. When I say flash, I mean it's just like poof, just really quick in, again, a chemical process in a kiln, and they would put a particular type of chemical in there, and it would make this thin skin of cranberry or whatever colored glass over top of it. And that glass is so microscopically thin, it's really not even glass, that it can actually be scratched or washed off with time.
Oh.
So that's when you remember the souvenir pieces that would say St. Louis World's Fair 1904, right, and it's scratched into the dark ruby color?
Yeah.
That's what ruby flashed is.
Okay.
So it's actually, they're different, but they're kind of the same.
And I've actually seen a lot of that being from St. Louis.
But that ruby cut to clear, or that cranberry cut to clear, or cobalt, that is a really in-depth process, because you're doing multiple layers. And if you see like the big lusters, mm-hmm, like the mantle lusters with crystal prisms that hang, mm-hmm, well, you may start off with a clear base, and then you may have a layer of cranberry, and then you may have a layer of yellow over top of that, and then you will see like yellow, then a green leaf, and then you'll see the clear base. And it's the skill of the glass cutter cutting through those different layers,
creating
of
those
glass
facets
to create those facets that create the pattern. So it's much more labor intensive when you see that. Now, with modern technology, you can't see that cut to clear like at Marshalls or TJ Maxx and things like that, and it's quite much more inexpensive than it was.
I've actually looked at some of those, and you don't get the kaleidoscope effect when you look through them.
No, you don't.
Like you do on the cruets that my grandmother has.
Because that Victorian glass that you saw 1800 and 1900, when you saw that type of glass, it was such an incredible high quality that it's just different from all but the most elite glass of today.
I might have to fight my sister for that.
Yeah, I would. I would definitely do that.
Now the other thing I want to ask you about is insulators.
Yes.
My grandfather collected these things. I wish I knew what happened to them when he passed.
Some people would say you'd be lucky that they're gone.
That would be my grandmother. So tell me about insulators, because as I was doing my glass research for this show, I was astonished by the prices they bring, the colors they come in, the fakery that goes on in altering the colors.
Let me start off by telling everyone out there that, yes, there are examples of glass insulators that do fetch hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. They're out there.
Maybe we ought to tell people what we're talking about.
If you don't know what a glass insulator is, a glass insulator is used in phone lines, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And they're used...
Well, and I think electric lines in the old days, too.
Yeah, electric lines in the old days. And they were used to protect connections between wires. So you would take two wires and you would wire them together. They would be going into a certain piece of equipment, or a certain sprocket.
Or you'd see them on telephone. Well, what we call telephone poles, electrical poles.
Yeah.
There'd be like a cross arm, and all these insulators would be lined up along the top with the wires wrapped around them.
Well, actually, the wires are up inside them.
Oh, really?
It's both. Sometimes they're inside and sometimes they're outside. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't really know the purpose of that. But they're there for protection. They're to keep wires from being wet. They're supposed to remain dry, and they're to keep wires from touching each other.
Yeah.
And
or grounding themselves on the pole,
and that's what you used to see. That's what they used to use. I don't think they use that type of insulator that much anymore.
I haven't seen one in a long time.
I think the technology has changed on that. But you saw lots of these, and you saw lots of them on the railroad tracks.
Yes.
I mean, all over the place. I mean, when that's up to the farm, you could see them all up and down the railroad tracks. Basically, if you've got insulators in your home, if you're lucky, they may be a couple bucks a piece. But now, like I said, there are some examples that are worth some very serious money, but chances are slim to none that you've got one of those. You could check with an appraiser, or check with someone who's an avid collector, or someone who really knows. But more often than not, most insulators are pretty common. Now, there are some examples out there that are very expensive.
Most of the ones that I remember Granddad having were green, pale green.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they probably started out clear, and whatever the oxidation process was from being in the sun, they changed colors.
And I remember seeing purple ones. I remember seeing the sun colored.
Yeah, the articles talk about the purple ones.
When you think of it, these things aren't just sitting on the windowsill. They are literally out in the elements. So, I mean, they get...
away from the trees.
They get 12 hours of sun all the time. I mean, all day long they get sunlight on.
Yeah.
And, people can try to speed up this sunlight process.
That's what
because I've heard tell that people have been purchasing these high-end tanning beds, and they will put glass in there.
Get out.
Yeah, that's of the period, and they'll crank it on, and as opposed to a human, which I guess they do a human too, but I guess they would crank it on for half an hour as long as they can, and it's the UV rays that hits that glass that is filled with that manganese oxide that turns that glass to that violet or that sun color. But I mean, I've heard people have doing that. They nuke it. In other words,
yeah.
That's what they also hit it with radiation. And I mean, they put it in microwaves. I mean, they alter it in different ways, and that's how they kind of spur this along.
There's always something to be aware of.
Of course there is, and it has been for millennia. I mean, it has been for a long, long time. But there's always something to be aware of. That's why I want everyone to really study up and do your research.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of information out there.
And I mean, Jane's done some really good stuff on the internet, and I've got some great books in my library, my personal library. But check with your public library, because I'm sure that there's some very good books on glass. And if you want to deal with Roman glass or
Carnival glass,
depression
glass,
Tiffany, anything like that.
Art glass.
I guarantee there's lots of different books that are out there on you, but you need to study up and find out more about the world of colored glass, because there's a lot on there. But we need to do a show on color sometime.
We do.
We
do, or a series, as you said, because
a whole series.
There's a lot of thought that different colors can evoke different emotions.
Yeah.
Have different vibrations that can cause.
And not only that, but when you look at it, certain colors have particular status symbols associated with them.
Yeah. Like purple. Let's go back to purple.
Yeah, like purple. Well, Jane, I've enjoyed having you in here today so much.
Thanks, Jerry.
It's been a while. We got to get together again.
Yes. This is always fun.
We've got to do that. But, you'll come back again, won't you?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you would.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, I do appreciate you turning in and listening to the show today. So, if you need me, you know where to find me. I'm right there at 107 South Main Street, Harrodsburg, Kentucky, right there on historic Main Street. Maybe you need some appraisal work. Maybe you've got some questions. Come by the store. I'd be glad to talk to you about what I charge, about what to expect. Appraisal, that's my big business. So, come by. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Find me on Facebook, Sampson Antiques Books and Appraisals. I'm always putting something interesting up there. Come on the page, like it, and you can scroll through and see all kinds of different interesting things that I've put on there. Give me a phone call. My number is 859-734-7829. Maybe you've got something that you've got in your attic or in your collection that you've been curious about. But, if you need to email me, my email is jsampsonantiques@bellsouth.net. So I hope to hear from y'all soon, but in the meantime, y'all get out there, have a good time, go to an antique shop, go to an auction. I guarantee there's someone out there that's going to appreciate having you come in, browse around, and maybe buy a little something. So y'all get out there, have a good time, stay safe, and until next week, I'll see y'all then.
The Personal Effects Show, a program that encourages listeners to understand antiques, collectibles, and sometimes just plain junk. The Personal Effects Show airs each Saturday morning on WHBN FM 99.5 and AM 1420 after the 10 o'clock news with Jerry Sampson, your host, who interviews collectors, dealers, experts, and others. The Personal Effects Show is sponsored by the James Herod Trust, Bluegrass Artworks, and J. Sampson Antiques and Books.
Here's the score from the Kentucky News Network. I'm Scott Fitzgerald. Well, it was a big night of high school football around the Commonwealth. Taking a look at some ranked highlights around the state, starting in Class A. Number 1, Pikeville got a big 50-17 win. That over previously undefeated 6A Madison Central. Over to Class 2A, where number 4 Owensboro Catholic beat 2-loss Todd County Central 47-37. In Class 3A, number 1 Christian Academy keeps rolling. They beat an undefeated Henry County 51-17. Over to Class 4A, number 1 Boyle County was idle. That as they take on number 3 Lexington Catholic next week. In addition to Thursday night's bountiful 5A action, games last night included third-ranked Bowling Green escaping a 2-loss South Warren team 28-24. And finally in Class 6A, number 1 St. X beat Ryle handily 37-0 before they welcome second-ranked Emmanuel on Friday. And in college football, it's go time for the 7th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats as they're in Oxford to take on 14th-ranked Ole Miss. And Coach Lane Kiffin's Rebels come in with the nation's third-best rushing offense, but the Cats will have the services back of one running back, Chris Rodriguez Jr. So did the fresh legs from his recent suspension help. What say you, offensive coordinator Rich Scangarello?
Yes, without doubt. I mean, you'd hope to like to see that he's, because he's stayed active, but, he hasn't been taken to the ground in a month either. But I'm not worried about that. He's been very reliable and durable, and he's in great shape.
It's a big day of horse racing today under the historic Twin Spires at Churchill Downs. That includes the 30th running of the Grade 3 $300,000 Breeders' Cup win in Urin ACAC, featuring Bill Mott-trained Speaker's Corner with Junior Alvarado on board. Also today, it's the return of Kentucky Derby winner Rich Strike, who is running in the Grade 2 $500,000 Lucas Stakes, along with Hot Rod Charlie and Art Collector at 1 mile and an 1/8. Rich Strike is just the 6th horse in 25 years to run at Churchill Downs after the Run for the Roses. I'm Scott Fitzgerald.
This is the Kentucky.
Prescription products require an online consult.
WHBN Harrodsburg.
Isaiah House provides holistic substance abuse treatment to help recovering addicts achieve sobriety for a lifetime.
We know what that struggle is. We know how bad that is. We know all the damage and the chaos that we created in the past. But the important part is we can show them the solution.
Kentucky Medicaid accepted for treatment. Call Isaiah House Treatment Center today, 859-375-9200. Isaiah House Treatment Center, real hope for addiction.
Suttles Tree Care, located in Harrodsburg, specializes in tree removal, tree trimming, shaping, stump removal, anything you need for your trees. Suttles Tree Care can be there for you. Suttles Tree Care does residential and commercial lots too. When unexpected storms happen, Suttles Tree Care will be there to help. Suttles Tree Care is over 30 years experience, licensed, bonded, and insured. Contact Suttles Tree Care right now to schedule your free estimate at 325-3727 or 612-2445. No tree is too big or small for Suttles Tree Care.
Historic Main Street comes alive September 30th through October 2nd with Kentucky's largest Oktoberfest. It's bigger than ever with double the stages at this year's Oktoberfest in Harrodsburg, where you can catch 3 days of live concerts with everything from 80s hits, reggae, rock to soul, funk, and bluegrass. Indulge in over 20 beers on tap, local food, crafts, and Kinderland, a free family-friendly inflatable park. Admission is free. Visit OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com for full details. That's OktoberfestHarrodsburg.com.
Hunger does not discriminate. It impacts the elderly woman who greets you at church, the little boy who sits next to your child at school, the working mother who cuts your hair. In fact, God's Pantry Food Bank is providing food assistance to 1 in 7 people in central and eastern Kentucky. You can help us in the fight. For every $1 donated to God's Pantry Food Bank, we can distribute 4.5 meals to people in need. To find out how you can help, visit godspantry.org or call 859-255-6592.
Saturday. Coach Stoops and the Cats head south to Oxford for an early day SEC battle. Ole Miss Rebels and your Kentucky Wildcats. Touchdown, Kentucky!
The pregame show starts this Saturday morning at 10 with kickoff at noon.
It's all right here on your home for the Cats, and the hits is WRNZ FM C105.
I went to ride Hatfield Chevrolet, and they had me
driving in my car, going very far, down the street in my car.
If you want to ride, go to ridehatfieldchevy.com. Rod Hatfield Chevrolet, Lexington, Kentucky.
McDonald's is hiring in Harrodsburg and Danville. Work close to home part-time or full-time. McDonald's offers flexible scheduling, competitive pay, college tuition assistance, and more. Text the word APPLY to 38,000 to connect with a job.
Hello. I'm Adam Hopkins, Security Officer at Farmers National Bank. As your community bank, protecting you and your money is important to us. If you are ever the victim of fraud or suspect a fraud attempt, contact us for advice. We're here to help.
WHBN Harrodsburg.
Former Today Show host Katie Couric is battling breast cancer. The 65-year-old journalist says she was diagnosed June 21st on her 8th wedding anniversary with financier John Molnar. Couric wrote in an essay that she had 2 pre-op procedures before undergoing a lumpectomy 3 weeks later, followed by radiation treatments this past month. Couric, who lost her sister Emily to pancreatic cancer and first husband Jay Monahan to colon cancer, is urging people to stay on top of their screenings and to know their cancer risk. California has several new laws that expand protection for abortion services and block other states from interfering. Other measures require health insurance to cover some contraceptives and vasectomies without cost sharing and provide protection for people who travel to California for abortions because they can't get them in their home state. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, Select Quote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call Select Quote at 1-800-635-3311. That's 1-800-635-3311. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-635-3311. That's 1-800-635-3311.
Select Quote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
The WHBN weather forecast is brought to you by Horn Home Supply, a trusted name for quality service and a fair price for over 40 years. See Matt Horn at Horn Home Supply in Harrodsburg, South College Street.
Mostly cloudy today with a chance of showers, high near 62. 30% chance of showers tonight, mostly cloudy, low 51. 20% chance of showers Sunday, high 66. Partly cloudy Sunday night, low 47. Sunny on Monday with a high of 70. It's 58 degrees.
WHBN Harrodsburg.
Good morning and welcome again to the Message of Grace. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you'll stay tuned for the entirety of our broadcast as we try to share with you some thoughts from the Word of God. We're going to be reading today from the book of Jeremiah, the prophet in the Old Testament. I invite you to open your Bible up to Jeremiah chapter 18. While you're doing that, let me share with you an invitation to come and be with us at Grace Church on the Lord's Day. We meet each Sunday at 11 a.m. for the fellowship of the Lord's people, for the singing of the songs of Zion, and the preaching of the gospel of God's free grace to those who are seekers after satisfied souls. We also meet on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock for a season of prayer, followed by a period of verse-by-verse Bible study. We have been studying for several weeks, months I guess actually now, in the 17th chapter of John, and are being richly blessed as we study this chapter verse by verse. Invite you to come and be with us if you can on Wednesday night. Now, if you have your Bible, would you open them up with me to Jeremiah chapter 18, and let's read the first 6 verses. The prophecy speaks this: "The word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again, another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel." In Romans chapter 9, verse 23, Paul writes this: "And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles." I want to speak to you this morning, and probably next week as well, a message entitled Vessels of Mercy. Vessels of Mercy. The entire context of the 9th chapter of the book of Romans is related to the sovereign mercy of God appointed to chosen vessels of Adam's race. Jeremiah here is instructed of God to learn a valuable lesson from watching a potter working clay on his wheel. The potter makes vessels of lowly use, and he makes vessels of dignity and beauty. And it is in his will, in his purpose, and in his talent that the difference is made. Men and women are, without exception, sinners by birth and sinners by choice. We're sinners by nature. And left to themselves, they'll stay that way. But God, in free grace, is pleased to choose out and form some vessels of mercy for his own glory. Vessels chosen in eternal election, vessels redeemed by God's Lamb, vessels regenerated and called by God's Holy Spirit. I want to speak to you today about these chosen vessels. The first thing we'd notice about these vessels is that they are vessels of mercy. Vessels of mercy. They're made from the very same clay as are the vessels of wrath. It talks about them there in Romans chapter 9, verse 22. By nature, there is no difference between saints and sinners. Both David and Judas were sons of Adam. Eve bore both Cain and Abel. Deceitful Demas and faithful Paul were of the same natural family. You can't tell Christians necessarily by looking at them. You can't trace their bloodlines like a racehorse. You can't trace their genealogy like historians do. They're not one or the other because of their bloodlines. They are one or the other because of the grace of God. It is grace, not race. Mercy, not culture. Conversion, not reformation, that purifies the heart. Mercy is the difference between the reprobate, the outcast, and the saint. God help us to never lose sight of our sinfulness. The best man that ever lived, don't know who that was. Paul was a pretty good servant of God, but he was full of sin. The best men and women that I know, they may be admirable to me, they may be so much better than me, I can't imagine, but if I look at their lives close enough, look at their natures close enough, I'll find an error, I'll find a flaw. People are so picky about looking at folks and finding this little flaw or that little flaw and say, well, they can't be much, they're not perfect. Well, we're only perfect in the Lord Jesus Christ. All these vessels of mercy are made entirely in the hand of the potter. I used to know a person that was a potter, and I would watch them work, and it used to amaze me how skilled they were. But they used the same lump of clay. They just take a lump of clay, and they'd work with it. They'd make a beautiful vase for a flower, or they'd make a teapot, or they'd make a bowl, or they'd make a soup spoon, or whatever they were making out of. They'd make it out of the same clay. And we're all made out of the same clay. And all the vessels of righteousness are made to be vessels of righteousness by the hand of the potter. Had Jehovah only chosen to do so, we might all have perished, or we might all have been redeemed. Jesus Christ did not die for everyone without exception. Hell is full of people that disprove that foolish logic that's so common in our world, but it's not true. If God had allowed every soul to perish, he would have been fully just and completely holy. God's holy. That's his essential attribute. Everything about him is holy. His wrath is holy wrath. His love is holy love. His mercy is holy mercy. His condemnation is holy condemnation. God is a holy being. And he's absolutely just. Justice is going to be done. We don't have justice in our civil law system. We don't have justice in our court system. We don't have justice in our nation. We don't have justice in our world. But I'm telling you that God is going to have justice. It's going to be done absolutely and completely in God's due time, and everyone who sins will surely pay for their sins. May God be pleased to show us, to show you, and show me that we lie entirely in his hands. If you have any hope, it is in God. If you have any refuge, it's in God. If God just leaves you alone, I've talked to people about the Lord, and they say, why don't you just leave me alone? I don't want to talk about it. Just leave me alone. And I generally say to such people, I'll leave you alone. But you better be concerned that God will leave you alone, because if God leaves you alone, you're going to hell. These vessels are in the potter's hands. If God had allowed every soul to perish, he'd have been just as holy as if he'd saved them all. May God be pleased to show us that we are entirely and completely in his hands. Now, it's also important to see that the vessel of mercy isn't a fountain, but it's a container to be filled. He talks about these vessels of mercy. Salvation is for men and women whose hands are empty. It's for people who are powerless. It's for people who are receivers, for those who are desperately needy. When I start talking to someone about the Lord and they start telling me about all that they are and all they've done and all they plan to be and this, that, and the other, I think there's very little hope for those people. But when I talk to men and women and they tell me what great sinners they are and how God's shown mercy to them, I find some hope there, because that's the kind of folks God saves. A vessel can only pour out what's been put into it. Let me read to you a verse from Philippians. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12 says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." Can we earn salvation? Absolutely not. Can we deserve salvation by what we do? Absolutely not. But the point is this: if God has saved you, if God has worked on you, if God has given you a new heart, if God has changed your nature, if God has changed your destiny, you're going to be different. You can never be saved until you see that you can do nothing and be nothing until God makes you something and enables you to do something. People are always going to do this, that, the other. Well, as soon as I get this straightened out, I'll talk to God. Well, you'll never talk to God. But when God changes you, He makes you do that which you do not know. Well, rejoice that God adds this designation, vessels of mercy. What a compliment. Vessels of mercy. The only two qualifications for mercy are to be sinful and be miserable. You can give pity to the miserable, but mercy is for the sinful. People always want somebody to feel sorry for them. You can feel sorry for somebody that's rotten to the core. But you can only have mercy to people that are confessed to be sinful. To be filled, you must be emptied. To be clothed, you must first be stripped. To be washed in the blood of Jesus, you must first be made filthy by the law. If your vessel is empty, you might be filled. If you're black with sin, then there's hope for your cleansing. But as long as you think you're okay, as long as you're clean, there's no hope for you. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. What a joy it is for an empty vessel to be filled. The old prophet Isaiah said in Isaiah 45:22, "Look unto me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there's none else." That's the absolute truth. If you have a desire to be saved, my friend, look unto the Lord. Beg Him, plead with Him to show mercy to you, because you don't deserve it. But He's God, and there is none else. I remember so well the joy of that hour when God embraced me in Christ. I'd been an atheist for several years, didn't believe in God, didn't want to hear about God. The only time I'd ever been to church was my wife and I were dating at the time, and she went to church, and I'd go with her. That was the only reason. I had no interest in what the preacher was saying or what the church service was about. I just wanted to be with her. And after we got married, I just got more adamant in my atheism, until one day God struck me down, convicted me of my sin, and sent a message to me of God's free grace. What a blessing. I remember that hour like it was yesterday. It's been over 45 years. God still has a garment for the beggar. If you're naked, unclothed, stripped by your sinfulness and impurity, God has a garment for you. There's bread for the hungry. Jesus said, "Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they'll be filled." Are you hungry? and there's water for the thirsty. He told that woman up in Samaria, he said, give me a drink. She said, what are you asking me for a drink? You're a Jew. I'm a Samaritan. They don't have anything to do with each other. He said, I'll give you water that you'll never be thirsty again. That's the water I want. I want to taste that water of his. I want to feel it. I want to taste it. I want to enjoy it. That he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. We're out of time today. We'll pick this up and finish this message next week. Come be with us at Grace Church tomorrow. Till next week, we bid you goodbye and God's blessings.
WHBN Harrodsburg.